just don't get the message. So I put out last night, I said, okay, if you want me to do this, the price for us to do this is $10 million.
I don't even think $10 million is going to do it. When you look at the past stats, Braun raised $13.5 million. He spent over $12 million. That's one guy.
Yes. So just to put this in perspective of people, and then we're going to go into how this system all works and why people give the money that they give and how this actually operates. So I'm proving a point here, okay? So, Casey, would you like to guess? I had our old friends at Indie Reporter pull this data for me, and I guess it's Stephen. I have a challenge for you. How fast can you determine how much Mike Braun spent last year? Not what he raised, how much he spent last year running for governor.
Okay.
Casey, would you like to take a guess? Kev, you're going to get in on this too. Price is Right rules. You go over, you lose. How much do you think Mike Braun spent running for governor last year?
Well, I said $12 million.
You said $12 million.
Yeah.
Kevin, Casey's in at $12 million. How much do you think Mike Braun spent running for governor last year?
I'm going to say $9 million.
Casey, congratulations. You are the grand prize showcase showdown winner. However, you are about $5.5 million short on the total, according to this government form. It appears Mike Braun spent running for governor last year.
Really?
This says $17,458,902.74.
Okay, $17 million. Well, so you're saying 10 is the starting point, I'm guessing.
I'm saying I think I could do it with earned media for half of what Braun raised. But the point I'm trying to make on this is the ridiculous level of crony capitalism that we regular people are up against, in which people with vested interest in outcome, not because of love of state or because Mike Braun, they're blown away with him. Let's face it, he has the personality of paste, okay? People are giving him this money because they want something in return.
Correct.
And so in order to compete with that, even if you had the best, most dynamic candidate imaginable, I'll raise my hand and say that'll be me. You would have to have 10 million to even be in the ballpark of sniffing a dream of winning, because as you and I were talking before we went on the air, they could raise 50 million if they had to. These people are not going to let the gravy train brigade go down.
No, they're not. And here's the thing, though. You would have to spread that 10 million across the state. You would do very well here in central Indiana.
I'd win.
Yeah.
I would win in the 25 counties you can hear this radio station. I'm absolutely certain, without a doubt, I would get more votes than Mike Braun with $10 million.
But how are you going to spread that out to all corners of the state?
There you go. That's your problem.
Yeah.
And that's what they know. And they would raise unlimited money, because we're about to talk about these expenditures that are coming out with the IEDC that are being revealed, and how they're spending this money and what's going on. And just look at the board. $260,000 from the new IEDC board that went to Governor Mike Braun's campaign. You think that's just a coincidence that of all the people in the world that he could have picked, that he just found 9 people who collectively gave $260,000?
Right.
No, of course not.
It's just a coincidence. So here's the question I have for you.
And by the way, real quick, Indie Reporter over the weekend revealed on this that several of these people, multiple, have run businesses or have contracts or whatever that have gotten money from the IEDC.
Right. It's just a big circle, isn't it? What do I get for $25?
So here's the strategy, I think, at how we would raise $10 million. Are you ready? Here's what I think we need. We would need some uber-rich benefactor to cut a check for $3 million.
$3 million, just to start you off?
Yeah, I think what we would do is we would say, here's $3 million. And I think we could, the one guy suggested we could crowdsource off of that $3 million. Just say, we have $3 million. Our goal is 10.
Right.
And we would be very honest with the people about who the benefactor is. Because we would say, unlike Braun and the Republicans who are bought and sold by everyone, I'm going to be bought and sold by one guy.
One person? And what, that person you'll treat differently? Maybe a little special?
Well, no, we're going to be totally candid about what they want, if anything. We're going to have an interview, a podcast with this person, in which we would say, our public will not have to worry about thousands of people buying public officials. You only have to worry about one person.
Just one.
Sir, what do you want? So just so the public knows, right? It'll be like the pro sports teams with the jersey with the sponsor on the front. The Rob Kendall campaign, sponsored by whoever.
Right.
And the difference is I'll be honest and tell you what that person wants for the money they're about to give.
This person wants to be on whatever board.
Okay, so that would be that would be the strategy on how we would do this. All right, so over the weekend, the Indie Reporter people, again, if you're not following, absolutely do it now. Go to Twitter at Indie_Reporter_. It's the best account going on Twitter right now. You want to learn all this stuff. So much of it we talk about on the program. They started digging further into the IEDC and the amount of money that they are just wasting on bullcrap to help elitist piggies continue to snarf from the trough. It's unbelievable.
Well, we talked about last week how they had uncovered contracts worth $975,000
For the Colts.
For the Colts. Colts suites and tickets and You're So Special.
Some
wine
sort of,
and dine stuff.
Some sort of sponsorship.
You know, somebody made a good point with these people, these business people who have all sorts of money and they're considering bringing business here into Indiana. Are they impressed by that?
Well, that's the point. Who came here because they got tickets to a Colts game?
Is somebody sitting there going, well, we were looking at Springfield, we considered Lansing, but we got to see the Colts, so now we're coming to Indiana.
Of course not. That's not happening. But what it is, and I will give you a definition of something, Casey, here in just a moment. It is the ability to the state could not operate this way. The state could not. I mean, I don't think legally they can do it. Now, maybe somebody is going to raise their hand and say, no, we can, but I've never heard of this. The state, because you never see the governor going to the governor's suite. He always goes to someone else's suite, right? So I'm not aware, maybe somebody again can correct me, when the governor or the Indiana General Assembly has had a suite at the Colts game, right? So the public money that goes into the public coffers, you're not out buying tickets to Colts games with those things because there would be a public outcry. What they're doing is they're taking money from you. They know if you because tax money is funding the IEDC. They know if they did it as public officials, there would be a mass outcry. So they give it to this quasi-government organization, and then the quasi-government organization
gets the suite.
Gets the suite. And then
passes it out to who?
Right. Then what they found over the weekend that they spent $110,000 on sponsorship of the soccer team.
Indy 11.
Indy 11. They paid $20-some thousand for tickets. Was it to the Army-Navy game?
Right. College football game.
It's just a gross abuse of public money, doing it through this quasi-government entity because they wouldn't be able to get away with it if they did it through actual state funds. Now, I'm going to read you a description here, Case. And
okay.
This is we're getting into the 21st century here on the program. We're using artificial intelligence here. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's what artificial intelligence had to say, and I'm just going to read you the full description. You tell me if this reminds you of anyone, Case. All right. Are you ready? Okay. Very good. Money laundering is a financial crime that involves concealing the origin of illegally obtained funds to make them appear legitimate. In essence, criminals transform, quote, dirty money into clean money that can be used without detection of the underlying criminal activity. Goes on to say how it works, in parentheses, 3 stages. Now, you tell me again if this sounds familiar to you.
Okay.
Money laundering typically involves 3 stages. Step 1, placement. Illicit funds are introduced into the legitimate financial system. Examples include depositing cash into bank accounts or purchasing assets. So, we wouldn't do something with this act of government, so we create this act of government and do it over here. Okay.
That's placement.
That kind of fits, right? Yeah, okay, very good. Layering. The money is moved around through complex transactions to disguise its illegal source. This can involve transferring funds between multiple accounts, currencies, or jurisdictions. So, the money is taken from the people, the taxes, and then the taxes are put into, this new quasi-government entity that we created. Layering. That kind of sounds like layering, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And third, integration. The, quote, clean money is reintegrated into the financial system, appearing to come from legitimate sources. Well, the IEDC paid for it. Well, hot dang. Of course, that seems normal, right? The IEDC did it. Well, who funded the IEDC? Me have no idea.
They're less than transparent with that money.
So they have spent, that the Indie Reporter found, I mean, you put all of this stuff together, well over $1 million between the Colts, the Indy 11, tickets to these games. And I get that in a whatever it is, a $44 billion biennial budget, $1 million is a drop in the bucket. But how many of these are out there? I mean, these guys are finding this stuff in their free time. And there's no money to help with roads without raising the gas tax. There's no money to help you with property taxes, do some sort of backfill like DeSantis is proposing in Florida. We got to raise tolls. We got wheel tax. We had to raise taxes by $1 billion to fund the budget, but they had over $1 million to pay for sponsorship and tickets to something that I've never heard ever anybody from the Holcomb administration run out and go, hey, we got this sponsorship because we spent $375,000 this year on the Colts. Like, this company, like Zuckerberg was here, and was like, well, it's between you guys and Duluth, Minnesota. But the Colts game, watching Jonathan Taylor run the football, was so compelling, I'm choosing Indianapolis.
Right? I was thinking about it, but I got to go to that Indy 11 game. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Indiana.
It's taking money from poor and middle class people. It's dumping it into this quasi anti-transparent government organization and allowing them to do things that they would not do through traditional government means.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It is 93 WIBC.
When you wake up,
you understand this is about money. 1,000%. They started this.
When you work,
As long as the category was all Bruce Springsteen all the time.
I told you I think I could win a game of Jeopardy. I could not go on a run.
When you drive home,
Is it time to try something new, you think? Because it hasn't worked, and maybe try something new.
traffic when you need it,
Stopped on 465 again.
and updates all the time.
I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level, on the go.
Stay in the know wherever you go with 93 WIBC.
Lately, the market has been making some big moves, and not all in the right direction. If you've been watching the numbers and wondering what it all means for your retirement, you're not alone. At Howard Bailey Financial, we plan for times like this. The truth is, a volatile day on Wall Street can feel a lot different when you're getting closer to retirement. That's why right now is the right time to take a fresh look at your portfolio, and Howard Bailey can help. Are you taking on more risk than you realize? Are you diversified in a way that makes sense for where you are in life? Find out today with the help of our free Market Volatility Guide. Visit retirewithpurpose.com to download your free guide and learn more about what market shifts may mean for you. That's retirewithpurpose.com. Together, let's make sure your plan is built to weather whatever comes next. Howard Bailey Securities, LLC is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Please see disclosures at howardbailey.com.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings. Also, stop smoking with Mark Patrick. Destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars July 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Stay on your home court with Franciscan Health's top-rated cardiac heart care. No traveling, no waiting. Just award-winning heart care right where you live. Rated #1 in Indiana 2 years in a row for cardiology and cardiac care by health grades, Franciscan Health offers first-in-the-world treatments, cutting-edge technology, and unmatched compassion, because we believe every heartbeat is extraordinary. Don't sit on the sidelines with heart trouble. Schedule a same-day cardiology appointment today at franciscanhealth.org/heartcare.
Need air conditioning service and want to work with a local company you can trust like B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical? Find that independent American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Boy, howdy, you are seeing, it's not even bad government. I mean, it's disgusting government, or it's just disgusting behavior play out in real time right now in Washington, D.C. with this big bullcrap bill.
It's big, it's beautiful, it's a bill. It's interesting that Chuck Schumer actually made them read it, although nobody was there to hear it.
That was my favorite part, because what do we always rail about? That nobody reads
the bill.
Okay, we'll probably need 2 segments to get through this because we have some great audio. Well, one guy's audio is horrible, but it's great to prove the point that I'm going to make. And then one audio is actually great at articulating what's going on. But I want to reset for everybody kind of what has happened here over the past, 72 hours since we all were able to communicate. So it's coming down to the wire. They said, but first of all, the fact that they said we must pass by fill in the blank. Nothing should operate on what must pass. Why? What if it goes to July 8th? What happens? Does everyone turn into a pumpkin? No, Trump wanted this for 4th of July. All of this is about this entire bill. And
marketing.
I preface this by saying Donald Trump has done a phenomenal job on the border, and he's doing a very good job on foreign policy. But what is happening here is inexcusable. What Donald Trump and the Republicans are doing, well, the Republicans are doing it because they're petrified of Donald Trump. What Donald Trump is doing is he is doing something for legalized vote buying purposes and for PR purposes. Everything with him is a sale, right? He wants this on the 4th of July. They're not only setting up for the Republicans to pass this bill in the Senate, they're already issuing the marching orders on when they're going to come back in the House and vote.
Right.
Which means they are doing, over the past 72 hours, the Republicans have done the exact thing that they have screamed about the Democrats doing, which is they are voting on things that they have no idea what's in it, they haven't read them, and they can't possibly have processed the ramifications. Most of the new bill, it's all new now because the parliamentarian threw a bunch of stuff out, and they just said, well, we'll change this up then. Much of it hasn't been scored. They don't understand the financial ramifications. They do not care. We are now close to, it's going to add something like, I don't even know what the new number is. They know it's at $5 trillion. Dollars to the debt.
Right.
That's without the new
and that
scoring.
exceeds the House's $4 trillion proposal. So think about that. The House was okay with $4 trillion, and it wasn't good enough. Got to the Senate, and they were like, throw another trillion on there.
And so now we'll see, because then you have to stop and go, wait a second. All of these Republicans said the House bill was the line in the sand. We will not do anything that adds more to the debt than this. Yet they're already setting up. It's not like, okay, we'll take this bill and then we'll get it back together and see what. Like, they're setting up for a vote. It's a fait accompli.
Yeah.
It's all a big lie. It's all dinner theater. So these guys in the Senate, because the parliamentarian, and one of the things that I love is the parliamentarian is the umpire that everybody agrees to, right? At the start of the ball game, when you go to the Indians game, umpires for today's game are, whatever, your home plate umpire.
Sure.
Both sides agree that whether you like what the umpire says or not, the umpire's word is final. Now, there are some umpires that are better than others. In the case of the parliamentarian, whose job is to be the umpire based on the rules that the Senate has set forth, not making up the rules, not imagining the rules, looking at, here is the rules that you guys have set forth, just like in baseball, if that pitch is on the black, it's a strike. If it's off the black, it's a ball. If you want to change the rule to say 3 inches off the plate is a strike, umpires will call balls and strikes that way. The Senate set up these rules by which you can bypass the filibuster. And all this woman is doing, who's been there for 13 years, by the way, all this huffing and puffing about, like, from people like Benny Banks, who we're going to play his disgusting audio here in a minute. The parliamentarian and the Democrats and the this and the that. This woman has been there for 13 years. Doesn't matter who she was appointed by. The Republicans have had multiple opportunities. If she was some leftist flamethrower, to kick her out. And they haven't. And they used her the same way the Democrats are using her during the Green Dream stuff, because that's what both sides do. I have this complaint. I think this violates the rules. Here's what I think. What say you? And now, because the Republicans didn't get a bunch of stuff that they want, they scream bloody murder and go, bypass the parliamentarian.
Yeah, it is interesting. On the things that she ruled acceptable, They were okay with. As soon as she wanted to change, she got to go.
And so now, because she's changed all of these things, or thrown out and said you cannot do this based on the rules you've set forth. By the way, change the rules. You don't like it, change the rules. But don't blame this woman who's doing her job, who's been there for 13 years, and you have an ample opportunity at least twice. No, what? Let's see. From 2014, the Republicans won the Senate. They had it until 20. My math is not great, but that's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's 6 years. If this woman was and by the way, she was the parliamentarian when they did the reconciliation the last time to get the spending stuff done and didn't hear a peep about the parliamentarian. 6 years to get rid of this woman. And now because she does her job, but because the bill they set forth is so bad and there's so much crap in it and they tried to pull so many shenanigans, now their excuse is, well, the parliament. It's always victim mentality, Casey.
Well, somebody's got to take the fall. There's got to be a bad guy somewhere, right?
So you now have a bill.
It's going to be Tom Tillis.
Yes, which we'll get to, that nobody has read, that nobody understands, that they've literally changed on the fly. Key components of the bill have changed, and yet all you hear from these people, save for one or two of them, is it's great. Oh, the parliamentarian, to this, to that. This is everything the Republicans have screamed about with the Democrats, and now they are doing it.
Okay, so we've got to get to Jim Banks, what he has to say, and also Rand Paul, and we'll do that coming up from 93 WIBC.
I'm a grandson, a son. I'm an employee and a mentor. I'm a father to 2 beautiful kids and a husband to an amazing wife. And I have a substance use disorder. In other words, I'm living in recovery with an addiction. And now that you know, will you let it change how you see me? It's okay to see my addiction, but I want you to know it's people choosing to see me as a person that changed my life.
See the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What an Indiana senator is saying about the big, beautiful bill. It's cloudy, 75 in downtown Indianapolis. Your high today is 86. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 9:30. The Senate is racing to approve President Trump's big, beautiful tax cut and spending bill ahead of the Friday's self-imposed deadline to have it signed into law. Indiana Senator Jim Banks says he believes Republicans will remain on the same page, adding the bill will provide economic relief to Americans nationwide.
Democrats are going to vote against it because they're the party of the elites and the rich and Wall Street and the pro-China party. And this bill is for the working class men and women that make this country work. That's why President Trump is pushing so hard for it, and that's why we have to pass it as soon as we can.
Banks on Fox and Friends. He believes Democrats don't support the bill because they aren't for working people. Democrats, meanwhile, along with some Republicans, including North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis, say the bill's sweeping Medicaid cuts would cause millions of Americans to lose health insurance. Canada is pulling back a tax aimed at U.S. technology firms, which was supposed to go into effect today. The tax was due to hit companies with a 3% levy on revenue made from Canadian users. It was meant to apply retroactively, requiring businesses to pay taxes totaling approximately $2 billion. A gunman is dead following a deadly ambush on firefighters in a wooded mountain area in Idaho yesterday.
Police confirming the suspect intentionally started a brush fire in order to lure first responders to a northern Idaho mountain community where the shooting began. 2 firefighters confirmed dead, while another is in stable condition after being released from surgery overnight. The suspected gunman, whose name has yet to be released, was found in a wooded area with a weapon nearby. The suspect was eventually found using cell phone location information after they noticed an active signal in the area. Still unclear how the suspect died, but police do believe he acted alone.
Fox's Todd Pyro reporting police were also forced to pick up the suspect's body and flee because of a wildfire that was still raging. And now your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management. The Dow jumps over 200 points, 248 now to 43,819. The S&P 500 is also up 25 points, 6,173. And the NASDAQ is in the green, 135 points to 22,534. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
800-948-1659. 800-948-1659. 800-948-1659. That's 800-948-1659.
Guys, Hammer and Nigel here. Don't live with tiredness and low energy. Get your life back with testosterone therapy at Low T Center. Take the test, get fast results, and start TRT with Indianapolis's leading experts in men's health.
Now it's easier than ever with the new Synergen X Health app, an innovation in healthcare technology you won't find anywhere else. Download right now or book an appointment while the test is still free at fixmylowt.com. fixmylowt.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Siri, read me that text.
Sorry, I can't complete your request.
You want me to read that?
No, I got it.
Construction zone.
I see it.
Watch it. Oh my God. You're gonna hit him!
Oh, fuck!
When driving in a construction zone, be smart, be alert, be in the zone.
This is Brian Short, business manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save lives. We're all in this together.
A message from Indiana's District Council of Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1-day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's four walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Most insurance accepted.
I don't know why you don't believe me.
We'll get back to it.
I don't know. That's unbelievable that you don't. Well, that's fine. We'll save it. Casey is.
I want to be entertained. That's why.
Well, I know, but
Rob for governor.
No. Casey does not believe I would drive the car that I have now as my automobile.
You said you need a new car.
I said,
and I'm going to roll up in that car that you're currently driving.
With no power locks, no power windows, and the air conditioning's 50-50.
No power windows. Like, you literally have a cranked
That's
window.
Right. Yeah. And I would do it to prove a point.
Yeah.
I would do it to prove a point of how much money we waste and how my little automobile, if we're here to serve the people, would get me to the same places that everybody else's car gets them. And that car with 160 75,000 miles on it that's hanging on by a thread. Yeah. If I can go from point A to point B, that's the goal of the automobile.
It may take you a little longer to get there.
Save you people money in the process. And maybe, here's what I said, okay? And then we'll get to the big, beautiful bill. I said day one. Here would be day one of executive orders. You know, Braun did all those executive orders. By the way, the number we have put out is $10 million. That is the price that a third-party person, me, would need to run for governor of the state of Indiana to be competitive, because Braun spent $17,458,000. I think was the number Whitmer came up with. 17 million. So that basically be 2 to 1. He could raise 50 million, which they would do. Can you imagine the panic that there would be? And they would raise $50 million. And what I would sell people as your $25 crowdsource. In my mind, we would get some rich benefactor to seed the first $3 million.
Kick it off.
We'd be totally honest with, here's what this person wants for their money. We're only beholden to one guy instead of thousands like the current governor. So we're being transparent about it.
Right.
I'm going to wear that guy's logo on all my shirts like the golfers do on the PGA Tour when I go out. And we're going to be transparent. Here's who's made this, the campaign brought to you by fill in the blank, right? We would be transparent about it.
Sure.
But then,
Friends of Rob Kendall.
You're paying, if you, let's say it's $25 we ask for. What is, Kev, can you do quick math? If we need 7 million, what's 7 million divided by 25? What is that? What is that number?
We got 280,000.
So we need 280,000 people to say a year's worth of entertainment is worth $25.
It's the cost of a streaming service, right?
It's basically every listener to this radio station giving $25 for a year's worth of entertainment.
Can you imagine the debates?
And
they would be fire.
That's what we would tell them. You're buying entertainment. We are going to burn this mother to the ground. We're going to make this the most entertaining thing ever. And here's what I pledge to do for you day one.
You'll get your money's worth.
Executive orders day one. Are you ready for my day one executive orders?
Yeah.
Executive order number one, I would fire the entire IEDC board.
Who are you going to replace him with?
Nobody.
What?
Because no board members, no meetings, no money spent. I just solved the problem.
There you go.
All right, executive order 2, I'm going to, and we're going to find some, you know how they got the thing with Dolly Parton where her library got defunded and then they found some private person?
Yeah.
I'm going to find a private person to fund Chris Hansen to come to the state of Indiana for a week, and I'm going to require by executive order every single lawmaker, all 150 of them, to have a televised Have a Seat episode with Chris Hansen where they explain what they came here to do and what they're doing as a lawmaker. That's your day one, baby.
What do you say it is you do here?
I have the chat logs. All right, let's get back to the from fantasy that's not going to happen to the reality in which you're actually getting screwed. Let's talk about this big bull crap.
I don't know. We're tiptoeing right up to forming that committee. But okay, you want to change the subject?
Stop.
We can do that.
Stop. Okay. This is, I mean, every person who's voted for this should be utterly ashamed of themselves. The hypocrisy of the Republicans on full display, not reading, not knowing, not understanding. They haven't even scored a whole bunch of it, and it's now in the vote-a-rama. How could you possibly be expected to make an educated decision on something that you do not understand the financial ramifications of?
Well, as Ron Johnson said, the GOP have no idea about the financial implications. They don't even know what they're voting on. They're just going to pass it and then find out later.
But wait a second. The problem is Ron Johnson in the dead of night cut the deal to keep going.
Right.
It's the same thing with all these people. Oh, the bill is bad. Hopefully it'll get better. You can stop it.
By who?
Yeah, exactly. By the people.
Somebody should really do something.
You are that person. Here is Rand Paul talking about the big bullcrap bill.
It helps to ask the right question. To me, the most pertinent question is how will the bill affect the deficit in the next year? Currently, our deficit is estimated to be a little under $2 trillion this year. What will happen to the debt in 2026 if this bill passes? Well, using the math most favorable to the supporters of the bill, referred to as the policy baseline, the deficit in 2026 will still be $270 billion more than this year. So even using the math, even using the formulas that the supporters of the bill like, the deficit will grow by $270 billion next year. That's just not good if you profess to be fiscally conservative.
And it's a very long clip. It's a very good speech. It's about 6 minutes. And one of the things he points out, which is the reason he's talking about next year, is the Republicans and the Democrats, they always, whatever phony fantasy savings, they always talk about how that it always comes at the end of the bill. Because 5 years from now, they can change it at the end. New people come in. They can veto it all, and you never get the savings, but it's always backloaded. So he's saying, here's what's at the front of this bill, what's actually going on next year, what you can actually take to the bank is going to happen.
Well, Jim Banks said that they would address the spending next year. Do you remember? He was like, okay, we need to do all of this stuff, but then we'll get to the spending next time.
Okay, so Benny, now for those of you who don't remember, we call him Benny. Jim Banks' name on this program is Benny because Benny was the servant errand boy in The Mummy who had no mind of his own, was incapable of his own thought, was just a henchman stooge for some guy whose face he implanted his own face in between this guy's butt cheeks. And if you listen to how Jim Banks has behaved, so the story of Jim Banks is fascinating because Jim Banks is the hot tub in action. He's a guy who went to Washington, D.C. and said all the right things. He was talking all the right game. And for a while, he actually governed and voted accordingly. And then he tried to run for leadership of the House of Representatives. I think it was whip. He was one of the tippy-top guys. And what his colleagues recognized is what most of the public now is recognizing, is that the guy's an empty suit, a colossal fraudster, and they were like, we are not going to vote you in a position of leadership because we know what you are, and they voted him down. And instead of, as any good, decent person with morals and a backbone and in their DNA, what they would have done is said, all right, your middle finger to me, here's two back at you, let's go, let's fight. And turning into a Thomas Massey type character, Banks, because his whole desire was to elevate himself. Banks is a guy who has wanted to be president since he was old enough to tie his shoes. What he did was completely sell out, and his response to that was to vote for Kevin McCarthy to be leader of the House of Representatives 15 times. And ever since he got his scolding, does this sound familiar, Casey? Somebody talked a big old game, said all the right things, went in there, got rejected, and then after a scolding from the party leadership,
got right in line.
That guy was never seen or heard from ever again. And look at the reward. If you have no moral backbone, if you don't actually stand for anything, Jim Banks has been thoroughly rewarded. He is now a United States Senator. You're getting screwed, but for his own personal benefit, again, sound familiar?
Yeah.
You're getting screwed. He's not doing what he promised to do. He's not staying true to his conviction that sent him there. But for his own personal benefit,
he's doing all right.
He's doing great.
Yeah. He says that, no, not your spouse, not even your dog. Donald Trump is your best friend.
Everyone in my family is working class, blue collar. My dad is a retired union factory worker. My brothers, my cousins, they're all working class, and they all voted for Donald Trump because he's the best friend that working class Americans have ever had. And this tax cut fulfills the promise that he made on the campaign trail to take care of them. That's why we have to pass it. We have to pass this and the other strong measures in this bill to move this country forward. It's an easy vote to cast. I can't wait to vote for it.
So Jim Banks is telling you that adding 20 trillion plus, we don't even know what it is now because we don't.
It keeps moving.
It keeps changing. Over the next 10 years, at least 20 trillion, he thinks, and saddling your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren with debt they'll never be able to repay. That's in the future. And making everything more expensive for you in the present so that a select group of people can get selected benefits in order to secure their state or their vote.
Are you talking about no tax on tips?
I'm talking about no tax on tips, the overtime stuff, all of these things, which are taking money. In this case, the money they're taking away, deficits are future taxes. Taxes that somebody else who doesn't have a vote, who isn't even alive yet, who have no voice in the matter, is going to have to pay. In Jim Banks' world, that's good, responsible government. So what? That he can be a servant errand boy?
He can be in the Trump orbit?
Right, that's what this is. That's all this is. This is so gross. This whole thing is absolutely disgusting, and all these Republicans are voting for it. And then when they lose power, because they will, because this will not do the things it claims, it never does, it never works out, then they will hoot and holler and scream and bitch and moan when the Democrats come back in and do the same things and spend all the money, and then they'll say how egregious the money being spent is, which the reality of all of it is, Donald Trump and the Republicans have spent far more money than the Democrats have since 2008. If you look at the money spent by Republicans, now a shorter time, right? But by year, if you average it out and what they've added to the debt, especially if this thing passes, it will be far greater than what the Democrats have done. Why is it different? Someone help me understand why the Republican spending is better than the Democrat spending. Why deficit spending under Republicans doesn't matter, while adding to the national debt under Republicans doesn't matter, but when the Republicans do it, it's hell on, or when the Democrats do it, it's hell on earth.
I think a lot of people would argue, Rob, that when the Republicans spend money, at least they're spending money on things that are important to the people who voted for them.
Like what?
Border security.
Yeah, but that's not the spending of the money. It's the giveaway. There's massive giveaways. They're still funding healthcare for illegal immigrants. They still have all the big fat fatties don't have to work and get free insurance. The free food to these people. All of that's in the bill. That's not border security. You want to have a border security debate and a bill? Fine. We've talked about that. If they just said we're funding the border plan and we're renewing the tax rates and we're going to cut from the government here to pay for it.
No problem.
Boom, we're done.
Right.
It's the
all
giveaway.
The other stuff.
That's why it's in the bill. It's Obamacare again. Pass the bill to find out what's in it. We can get into the AI stuff later. All of these things. Jim Banks is a gross, disgusting person.
It's Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon. You wish would never end. The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
You'll be one smart cookie when you try Bluebell Cookie Cake Ice Cream. A sweet cream ice cream loaded with chocolate chip cookie cake pieces and swirls of chocolate and vanilla icing. This cookie cake ice cream really takes the cake.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at Meijer stores.
Summertime's here, so get a hot summertime deal at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get Lincoln's employee pricing on most all new Lincolns. Get up to $20,000 off select 2024 Navigators. Up to $8,000 off select 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Come and see why the Roush family has served the community for over 53 years at Tom Roush Lincoln.
Navigator MSRP $105,195. Nautilus MSRP $60,195. 2025 Navigators excluded from employee pricing. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for complete offer details.
Pat Sullivan here with Michaela of Michaelis. If you have water damage, why should you call Michaelis?
Michaelis is a local family-owned Indianapolis company with 39 years experience. On call 24/7, 365. We are IICRC certified and will restore your space to pre-loss condition or better. And we work through the entire insurance process on your behalf to make it easy.
Water, storms, fire, and mold. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Text or call 844-FIX-INDY.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings. Also, stop smoking with Mark Patrick. Destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars July 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
History returns with the Brickyard 400 at the famed 2.5-mile oval, celebrating NASCAR's roots at the racing capital of the world. Brickyard Weekend starts Thursday, July 24th with the Indiana Sprint Week race, with sprint cars running on the IMS dirt track for the first time ever. Saturday, July 26th, get ready for action with the NASCAR Xfinity Series Pennzoil 250. Then Sunday, July 27th, the NASCAR Cup Series Brickyard 400, presented by PPG, returns to the oval of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Buy now and save at IMS.com.
The countdown is on. The golf outing powered by Franciscan Health is coming up fast Thursday, August 7th at the Legends Golf Club in Franklin. Grab your crew for a day of fairway fun. Don't wait. Lock in your spot now at 1075thefan.com.
Hey, good news, Casey.
What's that, Rob?
Somebody's saying we might get an NHL team.
You know what? The first hockey game I ever went to was the Detroit Red Wings and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the Red Wings at the Joe, they won 8-0. And I thought, this is the best sport ever. Until I was told, they're not all like this. They don't always score 8 points. But yeah, Indianapolis on a short list of 5 cities interested in an NHL expansion team. The other cities showing interest include Atlanta, Houston, New Orleans, and Austin.
So wait. Are we getting the soccer team and the hockey team?
We're getting it all. Nothing's official yet. No formal applications have been submitted, only expressions of interest.
Okay, this is my question for the what's the Fuel is the hockey team. They play in Fishers, but they're Indy Fuel. They're Indianapolis' team. In a taxpayer-funded facility. Nice of them to play in Fishers to build the Fuel taxpayer-funded facility. And I would say the same thing for the Indy 11, which is, why isn't what we have good enough and just working around that? Because, there's some sort of colossal public investment that's going to be required in whatever this thing is. Because the buy-in is listed at $2 billion. Was that the rumored buy-in for whatever the expansion is? You're going to have to come up. Can you imagine being able to come to the table with $2 billion?
And you have to have an NHL-ready arena.
Call my banker friend. He'll tell you I'm good for it. But it's like, why don't we, with the Indy 11, how much time have we wasted where that diamond chain development could have been up, it could have been active, it could have been, adding on to the greater Lucas Oil Stadium area, the Indy 11, the legislature's already approved this, they're the hometown team. Okay, they're not MLS, but the Indians aren't Major League Baseball. They're still a great fixture, staple, economic driver of the community. And we've now wasted close to 2 years with our thumbs up our backside. Well, maybe we'll get an MLS team. Maybe that, why? And what message does it send to our great minor league partners who invest their time and their treasure?
We like having you here, but not good enough.
If you get a Major League Soccer team, the 11 go away. If you get a Major League hockey team, the Indy Fuel go away. These people who have become great members of the community, it's never good enough. We never can just celebrate what we have and say, let's promote and expand that. And here's an idea, Casey. Use our money for things that benefit everyone. Why are we always trying to use public money to attract uber rich people to do uber rich things and ignore the blatant unchecked necessities like, roads. How about, tell us about your road, Casey. Tell us how that's working out.
Oh, you know what? There was some construction on it on my way in. A new area, not Washington, one of the side streets. Leaving work, I was like, what is this? What's going on today?
It's just never good enough. We can never just look at what we have and say we should be thankful for this. Let's figure out how to lift these people who are here. They're not a lottery ticket. They exist. They are an economic driver. Oh, and by the way, if you're Fishers, you spent all this money.
Right.
Primary driver was the Indy Fuel, and they could be dunzo in a decade.
So the Fishers Event Center, the FEC, the dimensions are the right side for the NHL, but the size.
Oh, no way.
It's a little too small.
They'd have to play it at, it's not Banker's Life. What is it? Gainbridge.
Gainbridge. Well, they'd have to make a regulation size hockey rink there. They'd have to renovate it. They'd have to change it.
They have had hockey games there before. I'm certain of it. I'm certain the Indy Fuel have played games at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
They need
You're being very negative.
Strong ownership, NHL-ready arena, a growing market, and a net benefit to the NHL overall. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
School's out. What are you going to do with the stacks of your kids' A-plus papers, artwork, and jerseys from the year? Probably box them up and store them in an out-of-sight space, like your basement. Your basement needs to be safe and dry. If your basement is showing any problem signs, condensation, wet floors and walls, musty smells, mold, and rot, Indiana Foundation Service can help. These problem signs can be an indicator that your home might be due for basement waterproofing. From wall anchors to vapor barriers and sump pumps and dehumidifiers, they've seen it all and can do it all. This includes encapsulating your crawl space too, and making that a safe space for your valuable belongings and added storage. They'll work with you to find the permanent solution your basement and crawl space needs to stay dry year-round. Visit IndianaFoundation.com for a free inspection and no-pressure quote today. Indiana Foundation Service. There's a reason they are the trusted local experts.
Indiana Foundation Service. Reliability from the ground up.
Trump country is booming. We're building, hiring, and winning in Indiana because energy tax credits put America first, bringing manufacturing jobs home and creating a stronger middle class.
Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country. More production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers.
And America's comeback depends on American energy. Senator Young, keep what works. Don't repeal energy tax credits. Paid for by Built for America.
Pat Sullivan here with exciting news from my friends at Hope Plumbing, now known as Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Hope now offers plumbing, heating, and air conditioning services, bringing total comfort to your home. No more dealing with multiple home service memberships. For only $8 a month, Hope is now your one-stop for safety and maintenance inspections and so much more. Make sure you're prepared for those Indiana summer heat waves with an AC tune-up by calling Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today at 641-HOPE.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you used to hear a whole lot of this, but now you can barely hear this, you need to check out RelayIndiana.com and the Caption Telephone. The Caption Telephone allows you to get your groove back when using the telephone. It uses voice recognition technology so you can read on a bright screen what the other caller is saying. Go to RelayIndiana.com and add clarity back into your conversations with the Caption Telephone from Relay Indiana. Visit RelayIndiana.com now.
Your one blood donation can help save the lives of up to 3 people. Give blood through the American Red Cross to help hospital patients. Visit redcrossblood.org today.
Republicans are trying to get to the finish line at the Senate. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we get this bill to the president by the 4th of July.
GOP Senator John Barrasso tells Fox they have to extend the 2017 tax cut set to expire at the end of the year. And
we're cutting spending by over $1.6 trillion. But the Democrats also left 10 million illegal immigrants in the country. Many of them are on Medicaid. We need to stop that.
Republicans also have other reforms, like work requirements for Medicaid and food stamps. The Democrats say will cause millions to lose health coverage and food assistance. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer just said the bill
steals people's health care, jacks up their electricity bill, takes away their jobs, all to pay for tax breaks for billionaires.
Now, the Senate will spend all day voting on amendments. 2 Republicans plan to vote no on the bill. Tom Tillis opposes the Medicaid cuts. Rand Paul worries about the bill adding to the national debt. If 2 more Republicans join them, the bill would fail. Days after the Supreme Court finished its last term, the justices have announced that next term they'll consider a Republican challenge to a campaign finance law restricting how much money political parties can spend in coordination with candidates. A firefighter is stable after surgery in Idaho, after surviving an ambush that 2 other firefighters did not yesterday. They were shot dead by a man who set a brush fire on Canfield Mountain to lure them in and then opened fire.
After several hours, officers belonging to a SWAT team discovered the body of a man, a weapon by his side. The sheriff declared that at that point there was no longer a threat. It's not clear at this point, though, if the man was killed in a shootout with law enforcement or killed himself.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. The jury that could send Sean Diddy Combs to prison for a long time is back in a New York City federal court for instructions. Then they'll deliberate if the rapper and music producer is guilty of sex trafficking and racketeering. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
One of the more violent weekends in the city. It's cloudy, 75 on Monument Circle. The high today is 86. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Indianapolis getting slammed with violence within these past couple of weeks. Jake McDaniel has the story.
That includes a shooting that killed 2 people on the east side Saturday, as well as a double homicide on the west side Sunday morning.
And all of this comes on the heels of other tragic violence, including a triple shooting on our Circle and another multi-victim triple shooting on our Canal over the last week and a half.
President of Indianapolis Fraternal Order of Police Rick Snyder says officers have been working tirelessly for the community by looking into those shootings, stabbings, and killings.
What we need to be doing is showing that support for the officers out in the heat and the danger in this violent environment.
Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
An inmate on death row may or may not be executed for killing Stacey Payne nearly 24 years ago. Indiana attorneys just asked the Supreme Court to set an execution date for Roy Lee Ward. If it happens, he would be the third inmate executed since the state continued executions after 15 years. It'll be warm, but temperatures won't be as high as what we've seen the past few weeks. Drier, cooler air is expected.
Highs will mainly be in the mid-80s, may start to creep back up into the upper 80s on Thursday. But again, that humidity levels will be down, so it'll feel more comfortable.
Mike Ryan with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says there will still be some hot days. Showers and scattered storms are possible once the weekend approaches as well. The Indiana Fever are hoping to build off their recent victory. They're visiting the Minnesota Lynx tomorrow night in Minneapolis for the Commissioner's Cup Championship.
It's a huge opportunity for us. You know, we're going to go in there, and they have a great crowd, great environment, a team that's very experienced with one another, have been in the finals, have been in big situations, won the Commissioner Cup last year. It's a really great opportunity.
Head coach Stephanie White says star Caitlin Clark remains day-to-day with a groin injury, so her status for tomorrow night's game is in the air. Clark will draft an all-star team after being announced as a team captain over the weekend. The July 8th draft will be on ESPN. The rest of the starters will be announced Monday, and the all-star game will be played July 19th right here in Indianapolis. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level on the go and at WIBC.com. Kendall and Casey back in 1 minute.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems will subside. And we have the most simple and convenient, ultra-effective in-office solutions that can do just that. And this is why people have traveled by planes, trains, and automobiles from corners of the world you would never think of to find the sleep apnea and snoring relief you won't find elsewhere.
Go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Most insurance accepted.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
The Indiana Economic Development Corporation is a dirty, rotten, corrupt, anti-transparent entity, and you will never be able to reform it as it exists today.
So you're saying that just changing the board isn't enough?
No, we've been through this, right? Because the rules of the road that have governed the IEDC are still in place. And when you have hyper-connected people, some of them who have actually benefited from the IEDC, who their goal, I mean, what did they do at this new board members' first meeting? 4 data centers.
Right.
Across the state. We all recognize the data centers are a giant scam at this point, that the investment that they supposedly make versus the taxes that they pay, and especially when you
resources they suck.
Right, that's the big one, and how much money they're costing you. And yet we're told, hey, it's the new and improved IEDC, and they do the exact same thing, which tells me these people aren't any different, and it is a system that is designed to fail the taxpayers and benefit a select few. So I cannot believe I'm about to do this, Casey. But Michael Hicks, he is
economist
at Ball State, and we don't agree with a lot of what he has to say. We'll just put that nicely. But he has a new piece out in the Indy Star talking about how this. Now, I guess he believes that this thing can be salvaged. I do not. I think the thing has to be burned to the ground.
He did say that Hoosiers should offer Governor Mike Braun some grace in his efforts.
Yeah, with the abuse that existed under Holcomb and that's coming out by the day of the egregious. It's not like they made a bad investment. It is things that were designed to benefit the select few at the expense of everyone else. It cannot be saved. It cannot be salvaged. But he laid out the math on this in this article, and it's pretty damaging. I'm just going to read one part of this. So Mike Hicks and I are probably at the polar opposite ends of the spectrum if you want to see how obvious this problem is to any person paying attention. Are you ready, Casey? Indiana taxpayers spent roughly $2 billion annually on direct economic development programs while abating another $8 billion in taxes to attract businesses, over $10 billion total.
Right.
The arithmetic is devastating. We're spending more than $10 billion yearly to generate $5.9 billion in growth, a negative return that may represent Indiana's worst public investment.
Yeah, so you're spending $10 billion, you're only receiving, that is a horrible ROI. You're only getting $5.9 billion back in growth, so it's a negative return.
And he doesn't go into, at least that I've seen in this article, when you talk about the growth, about how many of these jobs are not helping Hoosiers. These jobs are helping foreigners in many cases and on these visa programs, or at the very least they're helping people who come in from out of state, companies that move in from out of state. And so it comes back to the exact same thing. I mean, again, public school math, 10 minus 5.9 last time I checked was 4.1. That's a negative $4.1 billion ROI to outsource yourself.
After 20 years, you would look at that and say, something's not working here.
You're absolutely correct. So I did want to point that out, that even people that don't really care for each other very much and have had many a public spat
have come up with the same conclusion.
Right. This is Scamsville. That's what this thing is.
Did you see the part where he's talking about the job creation impact? That's also stunning. Over 20 years, 15,000 jobs have been created, but it comes out to $650,000 spent per job. So that would require taxing businesses 200% to break even. So each Indiana resident effectively pays $1,450 a year in incentives.
For $870 in
growth
return. So almost double. And this is what we've been saying. And he's putting them down in hard economic numbers, which is you are facilitating your own demise. Don't take my word for it. Just go read the Indy Star article. It's right there in black and white. Everything we've been telling you, which is they are taking money from you. They are putting it in this shadow government entity. They are giving it away to oftentimes foreign entities, foreign companies, even if they're American companies. And the return is not anywhere near, you're not even breaking even. And this is where I come back to, nobody can logically explain to me that if the Indiana Economic Development Corporation and all the growth we have seen over the past 20 years, especially the past 10, has been a net positive for the state of Indiana, then why have the taxes never been higher in order for us to live the same quality of life?
He asks the real test lies in whether these new members will ask the tough questions their predecessors avoided about Indiana's economic development spending, questions that reveal dismal returns on taxpayer investment. Like you said, I think we know the answer right out of the gate for new data centers. How much return are we going to get from those data centers? So they're heading down the same path.
All right, let's talk about this. The Supreme Court had their rule-a-thon on what that had been Friday. That was the last day of the session, and as usual, no, it wasn't Friday. I forget what day it was. Maybe Wednesday. I can't remember. Anyway, middle to end of the week, they had the end of the session, and as usual, all of the big rulings are usually saved for the last day. That way they can skedoodle out of town and not have to deal with the grief. But one of the rulings that came down was a ruling that while it did not directly involve Indiana, it will affect Indiana because we have a similar law in the books.
Right. We have a similar law that's awaiting the Indiana Supreme Court decision.
So you mean the U.S. Supreme Court? Yes. So the law says that porn producers, it was a Texas law that was heard in front of the Supreme Court, very similar in language to Indiana's, which says that online porn producers, primarily this is targeted at a website called Pornhub, are required to have age verification systems in place in order to access that website. So basically, you have to prove via some sort of state driver's license or other acceptable identification methods that you are 18 years of age in order to access that website.
Yeah. So the Supreme Court, they said the law does not violate adults' First Amendment rights, and the age verification is considered an acceptable burden to protect minors from content.
And I think that's where most people believed they were going to come down. It was a 6-3 decision, the usual ideological lines, and because of the ruling in Texas. So Indiana law was currently it's in effect, but it's in a stay. It was initially overturned, and then an appeals court ruled in favor of the state. It was stayed. Pornhub is not allowed, had pulled out of Indiana. So what Pornhub is doing is in any state where these laws were upheld, they were pulling out of the state. They're saying it's too hard for us to enact. It's too hard for us to enforce. We can't do it. It's simply not worth, from a business perspective, operating in this state, which is fine if your desire is to get rid of pornography to minors. Fine. No problem with that. Here's my issue with it, though. I can go onto Twitter right now and see unlimited amounts of adult film content. Pick your favorite adult film star, whoever that might be, and if you go to their page, there's about a 95% chance you are going to see much of the very thing that is allowed, or banned rather, under this new law that you got to have age verification.
So are you saying it seems like they're picking winners and losers?
Absolutely.
One application's okay, but not another?
Right. And so that is my question is, how do we, with a straight face, say this is actually about getting rid of adult-oriented content to minors when minors clearly have access? Now, Facebook and Instagram have more of a lockdown, although there's stuff that borders on that. And I think we've all seen stuff that you go, I think that probably would qualify. But they do have a tighter lockdown on that than Twitter does, where Twitter is just a free-for-all. Don't have a problem with that. My thing on all of this has been, you have to be consistent, though. And if you're going to allow it to exist on Twitter, which minors have access to, then you're nothing more than a campaign. This is nothing more than a campaign event, basically, saying you're going to ban these particular types of websites. Because we all know they ain't banning Twitter because of the outrage, and Twitter is not going to condone age verification. They're simply not going to do it. So it comes back to what I've said from the beginning. The role of the parent is to parent. The role of the parent is to police what their children see on the internet. And they're proving this by the hypocrisy of not banning Twitter, but banning these other websites because it looks good in a press release. My job is to police my kid. Your job when she was a minor was to police your kid. Your job is to police the internet at your house. My job is to police the internet at mine. It is not the government's job.
Did you see that there was a bill that was introduced by Bohachik? You remember him.
DUI guy. OWI guy.
He authored a bill, and it was to limit social media access, all social media access to children under 16. It passed the Senate, but then it died in the House.
How about we limit drinking and driving? How about that? How about when you get a OWI, you don't get to cover it up for 4.5 months? How about when you get charged with OWI, you don't get to not have a mugshot? How about when you get an OWI, you don't get to keep driving if you refuse to take the breathalyzer? How about all of those things? Why didn't he introduce a bill with that next year? Why don't you hold himself accountable the way he wants to hold parents, people he's never met, accountable? It is your job as a parent to police your kid. You are the adult. You are in charge. You set the rules. We keep having the government do things that are the most basic elements of parenting, which is you decide what is best for your kid to consume. That kid is your property until you turn 18. You are in charge. You set the rules. Your house, They go by what you say.
All right, coming up, we have to talk about what the Attorney General has done, and also we should review gas because something's coming up on July 1st that's going to change it again. It's Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Weatherman upset that Trump cutting some funding to the National Weather Service. The war on science. Yeah, tell me more about that science that told me I had to wear a mask made in China that didn't protect me from anything. Tell me about the science of 6 feet apart. Tell me about the science of being in a restaurant. You can sit down and eat with no mask, but you got to stand up and wear a mask. But if you go to can, you got to stand back up and put it on again.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
It's time. You've been putting off that kitchen or bath remodel long enough. What are you waiting for? Get started today with Boer Remodeling. Boer Remodeling customer Kathy had a bath remodel with Boer. Kathy, talk a little bit about your experience.
Our experience with Boer has been terrific. The process was so easy and seamless. When we decided to do a larger remodel of our first floor, Boer was the first company we thought of hiring.
And were you happy with the results?
The results are amazing, and we are so happy with our home and the work that Boer did.
Peter is another recent Boer Remodeling customer with a new kitchen. Peter, what was the best part about working with Boer?
We especially liked the active participation that we were able to have in selection of stone for the countertops. Really came out beautiful. The cabinets also came out very, very well.
The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. They'll guide you through the entire process. Start with a free consultation. Talk to Boer Remodeling today. That's BOOHER, BoerRemodeling.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Stay on your home court with Franciscan Health's top-rated cardiac heart care. No traveling, no waiting. Just award-winning heart care right where you live. Rated #1 in Indiana 2 years in a row for cardiology and cardiac care by Health Grades, Franciscan Health offers first-in-the-world treatments, cutting-edge technology, and unmatched compassion. Because we believe every heartbeat is extraordinary. Don't sit on the sidelines with heart trouble. Schedule a same-day cardiology appointment today at 317-893-1900.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for 1951 cabinetry. Visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or DrexelIN.com.
Well, what a pairing this segment's going to be, Casey.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about gas, and then we're going to talk about someone who gives you gas, Todd Rokita.
Which one do you want to talk about first? The actual gas?
Let's talk about what's going on with gas, but first, one of our guys, one of our original Beaven is what he goes by on Twitter. Means he was the first.
Yeah.
The first Beaven.
He's the OG.
He said that the entire Hancock County DPW, that's Department of Public Works, if you're playing along at home, they are big fans of the show and they listen every day. And so if you're in Hancock County working on any sort of public works project, thanks for listening to us.
Like it.
All right. So, Casey, we're very blessed in this state. I don't know if you know this, but we're blessed to have not one but two taxes on gasoline in the
we're so lucky
in the state of Indiana. And it's so nice we did it twice. We have a special tax for gas. That's the never-ending one that goes up every year that we talk about all the time. Largest tax increase in the history of the state in 2017, and it just goes up a penny every single year. And then we also have the sales tax on gas. So whatever the price of gas is, you know, we have a 7% sales tax in the state of Indiana. Unless you have a food and beverage tax, where you live to pay for now the Ursay Daughters Stadium for them to have a free stadium. So you have a 9% in most places food and beverage tax, but everything else 7% sales tax. So when you buy gasoline, you have a 7% sales tax on the price of gas. You have, what is the number now for the actual gas tax? It's well into the 50s, right? The actual gasoline tax, like the penny per whatever, it's well into the 50s now. It's got to be. Anyway, you have that tax on gas. And then you have, on top of that, you have a federal tax on gas, which I believe is 18.4 cents or something like that. So you put them all together. Yes, there it is. That's what I was looking for. And you put them all together, and you get 90 cents per gallon of every gas is taxation.
Correct. So when you go to fill up, just know that. And here's the good news. Gasoline excise tax is about to increase by 1 cent.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So I'm sorry. It'll be 36 It'll be in the 50s in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Give them a couple of years. It'll be in the 50s. I was a little high. We don't want to be accused of doing anything, nefarious or whatnot. But you have, so the breakdown is 0.36, so that's 36 cents per gallon. July 1st is the tax on gas, the special tax on gas, which, remember, was supposed to be the long-term road funding plan, Casey. Remember, they told us this is for the foreseeable future, our national crisis is over, and boy, howdy, here we are, and now we need tolls to pay for the roads.
Right. So you still have that excise tax, but now the toll roads are coming. So.
You've got a 17 cents, 0.178 per gallon as of May 1st. And then you got the federal excise tax of 18, 0.72 per gallon. You take this, put that together, you get 90 cents per gallon. So there you go. That's the damage you're doing.
And the fun part about that is when the price of gas goes up, so does the sales tax.
Yes, that's correct.
Fluctuating.
So anyway, there, Casey, that's your number, and 90 cents of that will be tax on gas. And so remember, why is gas so much more expensive here? It's the tax, right? The tax is the difference. When you go to other states that do not have, it's just money you're throwing away. It has nothing to do with the price of gas or getting oil out of the ground or anything else.
Remind me who we can thank for that.
Well, there's a lot of people. Let's see. You got a high tax Holcomb. You've got all the General Assembly who voted for it. You've got the General Assembly who renewed it. You've got Braun who voted for it when he was in the General Assembly. You got Braun who's confirmed it again as governor. You got the Flanders boys. I mean, there's hundreds of people at this point, Case, who have played a major role.
Just want to make sure they all get the thank you
in
note.
In the tax on gas, and it's one of the highest in the. It's one of the highest in the nation, Casey. One of the highest in the entire nation.
So the Attorney General has requested something, an execution date for Roy Lee Ward. Ward was convicted in 2001 of rape and murder.
All right, so let's talk about what a political stooge Todd Rokita is. So you got to give Rokita credit. He is always thinking of what he can do to use his office to worm his way out of the bad publicity he finds himself in. This is a master politician move right here. I mean, it's ridiculous, but at this point in the level of Rokita ridiculousness, it's very actually low on the totem pole.
Okay, now you're saying, because I believe it was Friday, we were talking about how the taxpayers are spending $500,000 to defend his license.
Rokita's inability to keep his big yapper shut, which is what this is all about. Todd Rokita running onto Fox News and doing things that were inappropriate for the Attorney General. And then after he got the slap on the wrist, instead of just saying, I'm sorry, and accepting the punishment, running his yapper again. Yes, it is is Capital Chronicle reported close to 500 large that it has cost the taxpayers to pay for attorneys to defend Todd Rokita's law license, essentially, because he can't not put himself first.
Right.
And so then on the heels of this, it comes out, and I'll just read you. The Indiana Attorney General's office requested an execution date on Friday for a death row inmate, Roy Lee Ward, the Spencer County man convicted in 2007 for the rape and murder of 15-year-old Stacey Payne. Now, doesn't mean this guy doesn't deserve to die, and I'm all for it. You're killing a little girl, right straight to the front of the line. But is that just the world's biggest coincidence, Casey?
The timing on that?
That after Braun comes out and is like, hey, we got to have this big discussion about how we're doing the death penalty. If we even want to do it, we need to make sure we're spending a lot of money on these drugs.
Spent over $1 million on 4 doses of it. 2 were used and 2 expired.
Yeah, so the governor is requesting, hey, before we do any more, let's see if there's a cheaper way we can do this, make sure we want to still continue to do it. And you're telling me that the day that comes out about how much money Rokita's wasted because he can't keep his big mouth shut, that all of a sudden, hey, let's execute this guy. No way.
Yeah, Braun acknowledged, he said he was agnostic about it. And you got to know that they're going to be a matter of legislative debate coming up, future executions. But Eric Hoffman, he is the prosecuting attorney for Delaware County. He said it's time. These people have spent far too long sitting on death row after juries unanimously said they should pay the ultimate penalty for their crimes. Governor, time to foot the bill. That's your job. But here's the thing. It's not the governor who's footing the bill. It's the taxpayers.
That's correct.
Who are footing the bill.
And this guy's attorney, I thought this was super interesting. Larry Comp is this guy's attorney, and he said the same thing we're saying. We are stunned that they have moved for a date, given the very public statements of the governor that the cost is something that should be explored, and that this is something the governor wanted the legislature to look at. There's no logical reason Rokita would have come running out with this on a Friday, because it's a huge publicity item, and you basically bury it on a Friday. You know how this works, Casey. Anything comes out on a Friday.
Right.
Rokita loves the limelight. He ran out with this on a Friday. There's no way you're not going to convince me, because that's the same day the article came out where he's getting horrible publicity. And what does it do? It moves that off the page.
Right, he's trying to change the conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're too smart for you, Todd Rokita.
We see what you're doing. You are listening to Kendall and Casey. It is 93 WIBC.
Wind and hail can cause serious damage to your property, but not every storm leaves the same mark. At Michaelis Corporation, they offer a free thorough inspection of your entire property, not just your roof. With over 35 years disaster restoration, they check everything from shingles to siding, gutters, windows, and even your interior. Call Michaelis today for your free comprehensive inspection. Don't forget to ask about our impact-resistant shingles for your roof. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. 844-FIX-INDY.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Home sales activity is good, not great. So many homes, if improperly marketed, are sitting on the market. Hiring the wrong sales agent will cost you time and money. Hire the expert who maximizes equity and sells fast. The expert realtor I recommend is Mark Dietl. Maybe you want a fast, guaranteed, no-hassle home sale, but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed-upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Kevin and Angela in Greenwood had to say about working with Mark Dietl. The big home was too much, and it was time for Dad to move into a maintenance-free community. But we needed cash from the home to fund the change. We reached out to the Mark Dietl team, who helped with the entire process, from selling belongings to prepping the home for maximum value. We went on the market and sold for $5,000 over asking price in less than 7 days. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietl.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The status of the spending bill. Cloudy skies, it's 76 in downtown Indy. Your high today is 86. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 10:30. Senators are considering President Trump's tax cut and spending bill as lawmakers approach a July 4th deadline set by Republicans. Democrats are offering amendments to the bill. Senate Majority Leader John Toon speaks on the Senate floor backing the spending cuts and an extension of tax breaks first passed back in 2017.
Unemployment hit a 50-year low, poverty levels at record level lows, and incomes grew.
And opposing the bill, Democrats cite sweeping cuts to Medicaid, which are projected to cause around 11 million Americans to lose health insurance. Some states could lose their federal funding if they ignore one of President Trump's executive orders.
The executive order says giving illegal immigrants benefits denied U.S. citizens is discrimination, and if states don't stop, they will lose federal funding. So roughly 500,000 undocumented students attend U.S. universities. 2/3, some 300,000, receive taxpayer-subsidized tuition. 23 states and Washington offer full in-state tuition. Others have no policy or bar undocumented students altogether. Advocates say the aid, however, is not discriminatory because it's based on residency, not immigration.
Fox's William Lajunas reporting previous efforts to cut federal funding over policy disagreements have been blocked by federal judges. Iran says more than 900 people died in its short war with Israel in 12 days. At least 935 people were killed, including dozens of children, in airstrikes and missile attacks that targeted military sites and nuclear facilities. And the WNBA announcing this morning that they are expanding. They are currently at 13 teams after adding a team in Golden State last year. Over the next 5 years, the league will be bringing in 5 new cities, with a team in Toronto and Portland joining next year. Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia are also expected to join the mix up until 2030. I'm Jarrett Lewis on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hi, it's Steve Mann. Have you heard the commercials for the Mark Patrick Stop Smoking seminars? And they said only $49.99 and it could work for you. So I thought, that's not even a week's worth of smoking. So I went. And guess what? It did work for me. You know, my friends and family are still amazed. I quit smoking. I didn't have cravings, anxiety, or weight gain. Listen, I don't know how it works, but I know it works because I'm living proof, and it's 100% guaranteed. So what do you got to lose? I'll tell you what you got to lose. A very bad habit.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking without cravings, irritability, or weight gain. Early bird special only $49.99 guaranteed. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all, or your money back. Seminar 8 p.m. on Thursday, July 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville, or 2 p.m. on Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Registration 30 minutes before seminar. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Life Church. Man, we had a great time yesterday at the Eagle Creek campus, and that's one of the awesome things about Life Church. Wherever you are in central Indiana, there's a good chance there's a Life Church location right near you. Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton. And if you'd like to see it all for yourself, you can check it out in the comfort of your own living room with great online services. Life Church is warm. They're welcoming. You're so much more than just a number at Life Church. You're an individual. It's a place we call home. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Learn more on the web about it all. LifeChurchIN.com.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end. The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
You'll be one smart cookie when you try Bluebell Cookie Cake Ice Cream. A sweet cream ice cream loaded with chocolate chip cookie cake pieces and swirls of chocolate and vanilla icing. This cookie cake ice cream really takes the cake.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell Ice Cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIPC.
Just an update to my non-existent campaign for governor that's not happening. So if you missed earlier, we were talking about the amount of money that buys and sells these politicians.
What did Braun spend? $17 million?
$17,458,000 appeared to be the number that Indy Reporter came up with. And I said, look, he won easily. They knew their internals. I knew what their internals were. I bet I don't know what their internals are now. I bet I won't get that next election, but I knew what their internals were. And that's when people were like, oh, this race is razor thin. This thing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's not close. They could spend, this is what people don't realize, they could have spent $50 million to defend the Republicans keeping that seat. And you're seeing with what's being revealed with the IEDC and the literally billions of dollars on the line, why people give this this money. There is no limit they will go to not keep some stooge yes man Republican in charge of controlling what goes on there. And they'll do whatever glorified floor show to make you think that they're doing something different. Clearly, as we've laid out, the first meeting, they approved 4 more data centers, which, by the way, I'm just going to take a quick detour. Here's Backroom Braun the other day. Join the Mid-America Regulatory Conference for a fireside chat to discuss utilities in Indiana. My administration is taking an all-of-the-above energy strategy, embracing our state's abundant natural resources like coal, as well as investing in new, innovative, and renewable energy sources. When he says investing, he means making you pay more in your utilities.
You're investing.
Let's be very clear when he's saying that. They are raising your utility rates for these people to Dr. Frankenstein these things up. This is how we increase production and lower cost. No, dude. See, these people lying out their ass is what gets me every single time. People want to say, people say, now, what happened with you and Micah? He lied. He lied. I told Micah when he got elected because people were like, well, I'm worried. What if you end up treating him like other politicians? I said, it's very clear. Do not lie. Do not deceive me. He did both of those on multiple occasions. It's the lying. Casey will back me up on this. I can look people in the eye who I disagree with, and we can have a fun, polite conversation.
Yeah, we've had it many times.
I get along great with Jesse Brown, an avowed socialist, because he's always honest.
Well, James Briggs is another example. Indie star.
Exactly.
Writer. You clearly don't agree. You're on polar sides of the spectrum, but yet you can have a conversation with him.
Right. It's the lying. And here he is. He's lying he has to know. He signed a bill that gave these utilities the ability to raise your utility rate so they can have fun trying to play with these SMRs. And whether they win or lose, you pay for it. And right here he says, how we increase production and lower costs. The costs are going up. Anyway, point of this, bringing this full circle, they approved 4 data centers from the IEDC. There's an article here from, govtech.com, talking about a data center going in Northwest Indiana. Is this the Amazon Web Services? Northwest Indiana.
I'm thinking of the one in LaPorte, which is a Microsoft one.
Yeah, $11 billion data center campus going outside of Northwest Indiana will have 2,250 megawatt capacity. It will be able, this is what's key, it will be able to use, and by the way, this is from April 23rd of 2025, so this is current. This is not in the past. This is current. It will be able to use as much electricity as 1.5 million households. And you just approved 4 of these. Now, are all of them going to be this big? Don't know. Probably not.
The typical data center size is 200,000 square feet, often 2 stories.
But there's you can't produce enough power to do this. You're choosing the data centers. 1.5 million homes? Do you know how many people that would be? Let's say it's 3-person people a home. That's 4.5 million people.
Indiana ranks 8th in the entire country among emerging U.S. data center markets.
Yeah, so the point is, he's lying. He being Braun is lying. This IEDC is not changing at all because the first thing they did is approve more of these data centers, which is going to suck a bunch more electricity, which we don't have, which is going to make you pay more.
They barely create jobs.
That's right. It's like
maybe 50 jobs per the $1 billion spent.
Yeah, and there's the sales tax abatements, property tax abatements. You're getting screwed, and they're continuing the screwing. My point of all this is, though, it depends upon shadow quasi-government entities that are going to reward the mega players who give huge money to campaigns at the expense of you. And in order to defend that, they will spend these rich people any amount of money necessary. So Braun spent $17.5 million on a campaign that he won by 13 points. It was never in any doubt. Think about what they would spend with a legitimate third-party challenger. Even if I raised $10 million, because the reason we're doing this is it just randomly pops up. It's always organic, and I have no idea why. But every month, there's a new batch of people that come up with this light bulb over the head idea.
Run for governor, Rob.
You should do this. And so I have laid a line in the sand in saying $10 million. If somebody can show me $10 million, I would probably pull the trigger on it. But anything less than that, it's still a 5-to-1.
It's a futile effort.
Right. He's going to spend $50 million if he has to. Now, I could, with earned media, get a lot of free publicity.
Here's
but
a couple,
not that much.
Okay, I have a couple suggestions. First of all, I want to go back really quick to the Mike Braun comment that he was at the Mid-American Regulatory Conference for a fireside chat. Governor, it's 1,000 degrees outside. Can you quit calling it a fireside chat?
And the photo here looks like it's a large room full of people.
Like, I want to know what are we going to call these? Can you imagine that meeting? We'll call it a fireside chat. People know what that means.
Like this is like what like hundreds of people.
FDR, that was supposed to be like an intimate thing. You gather around the radio, right? That's not what this is. He's in an auditorium. On a stage.
My favorite part of this photo, though, Casey, look at this. Okay, so this is like a Where's Waldo photo. So Braun is clearly talking in this photo. You can see his hands gesturing.
Everybody's eating.
Yeah, the one lady's looking at her phone, eating. This lady's engaged in a conversation with the lady next to her, eating.
Somebody's on a laptop.
This guy's got his back to Braun. This guy is entertaining his paste, Casey. Can you imagine? People are like, what are we doing today? Well, like a concert, right? Kev, who are those guys that you like? What are those guys' names with the shirts off?
Viagra Boys?
The Viagra Boys. It's the day of the Viagra Boys concert. Kev probably wakes up at 6 a.m. He's getting his cooler ready. He's going with his friends. They're pre-gaming. They're tailgating. They're first guys in. They're in the front row. They'll stand there for 3 hours because the Viagra Boys are going to be on stage. You know you had to drag these people kicking and screaming. We woke up today. What are we doing? We got to go watch Braun. There's some guy in a camo shirt here. We got to go watch Braun talk about
Looks like a nice salad that they're having, though. I'd be in on that. Where's the food?
My favorite one is the lady. Casey, you could see her on the far left. She's on the far left of this photo. She is literally going out of her way to not look at Braun with her hand on her chin, engaged in a full conversation with the person next to her.
You see her? She's like got her back turned. She's not engaging at all with whatever they're saying. But stop saying the word fireside chat. Back to your campaign for governor.
My non-existent campaign.
Here's what you're going to do.
Yes.
You clearly said that you'll be very transparent. People give you a large amount of money. You'll say, hey, sponsored by, right?
I did want to point out, longtime listener of the show, Philip, he is a local merchant. He said, I am in for $1,000 if you pull the triggers.
Look at you.
So
you're on your way.
We're on our way.
Let's wrap your car.
Well, yeah.
We'll get it wrapped with all the names of people who've donated.
Here's my only
You got to have levels like platinums, gold, silver.
Here's my only concern about that, Casey. And I'm not opposed to doing that. That car, I am literally going to drive it until the wheels come off. It has no electric windows or locks. It has the air conditioning works, but we don't use it often because we're worried the motor might not be able to survive. I will drive that car until the wheels come off. My only problem is if we invest, to prove a point with Beckwith and Diego and these cars and everything else to prove how you can make it work. My concern is that at some point the wheels will come off with the statewide campaign, and then we will have invested all that money in wrapping a car that no longer works. So I don't.
Well, maybe somebody will donate the wrapping. But if you do get the money, don't spend it in central Indiana. You need to spend it in South Bend and in Gary and Fort Wayne and Evansville, every other market.
No. Yeah, that's the plan. Here's my problem, though. I would need to know I'm going to have the $10 million before I'd pull the trigger on this. I'm not coming in for a penny less than $10 million.
What if you have 10 $1 million sponsors? Would
I
you
don't
do
care.
that?
No, here's what we're doing. Any person, because we're going to be totally transparent, because we are fighting scum. We are fighting corrupt crony capitalism scum. And look, we got to have a few bucks to play. Now, the difference is, instead of these thousands of lobbyists and donors who want these behind-the-scenes things, I'm bringing it out in the sunshine.
Right.
If you give $250,000 or more, you are on all the campaign merch. It's just like the golfers, they wear the Titleist hat or the Nike shirt or the whoever. We are going to be transparent about these are the people that are funding this campaign. You're getting in at a reduced level for entertainment value, which is $25, because these big boys, and here's what they want. We're going to be honest. Doesn't mean they're going to get it, but we're going to tell you what they want, why they're sponsoring this campaign.
What's $25 get me?
Well, you'll get you got to give something, right? Isn't that how the crowdsource? I've never crowdsourced. Is that how it works? You get something for the Kevin. You strike me. You're a young person. You probably crowdsourced something, some sort of band or something you believed in at one
drum
point.
set?
Yeah. What is that?
I know people have done stuff like that.
You give something away with the crowdsourcing?
They give donations.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah.
But don't I have to get, is it like PBS where for your $25 donation, you get.
You pledge. I think what you need to do, just test the waters.
Yeah.
And rather than have people give the money, maybe a pledge to give money to see where you're at.
Oh, Kenny says, Rob, the AC system isn't closed. It kind of helps cool the motor. Run it, baby.
Oh, look at this.
Well, so I should crank. I thought they used more gas. I thought that like the more air you had on, the more gas you were using because it takes more to power the car to cool the car.
I thought so too. Are you trying to?
Kenny,
save
are you
money?
a mechanic or are you just making this up? Are you like you picture yourself some sort of Bob Vila or Tim the Toolman Taylor? Or are you actually a licensed motor expert of some sort? Anyway, I don't want to do any work on this though. I don't want to set up an account. I don't want to go through all this. I want to know. If somebody says...
You don't want to have an official exploratory committee. That's what I'm saying. Just put a poll out on Twitter, you know? Like, would you pledge money if I was going to do this?
But the problem is...
See where you end up.
Kev, math. I need math. Oh, no, we don't need math on this. We can do this. This is public school math. If we needed... I'm banking this off of... Because we came up with if we needed 10 million, and I got 3 million from people who want something.
You have 7 million left.
7 million to go. We did the math on that. Kev said it was 280,000 people had to give me $25. If we did the full 10 million, let's say nobody... Bribe is such a strong word.
Right.
let's say
nobody stepped forward.
Let's say nobody stepped forward. What would that be? That'd be 40,000 people. I need 400,000 people to give me $25. So that's
Can you raise it to 50?
But see,
$50
like Philip was willing to give me 1,000. And I want everybody to know you have to give 250,000 to be on the merch brought to you by. That's our limit.
Gotcha.
So if you give $1,000, you're getting nothing. If you give $25,000, you're getting nothing. You can only buy and sell this campaign at $250,000 or more.
Well, we know who's going to be writing your ads, and that is Jason Hammer, and he joins us next on 93 WIBC.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All-American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
I had changed the locks. Didn't even know where she was living. And then one night she calls to say she's getting treatment. Can I drive? I almost hung up. But then I thought, that's my kid. I chose to put away the hurt and the fear and just see my girl.
Addiction is a disease. Standing by a loved one as they fight it will test your faith, patience, and sanity. But it's possible when you see the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
Summertime's here, so get a hot summertime deal at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get Lincoln's employee pricing on most all new Lincolns. Get up to $20,000 off select 2024 Navigators. Up to $8,000 off select 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Come and see why the Roush family has served the community for over 53 years at Tom Roush Lincoln.
Navigator MSRP $105,195. Nautilus MSRP $60,195. 2025 Navigators excluded from employee pricing. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for complete offer details.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Politics, punchlines, and pure WIBC. The Mashup Podcast pulls the day's best moments from Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, and drops them in one place. New episodes each weekday. Search WIBC Mashup wherever you get your podcasts.
He's with us from the #1 rated Hammer and Nigel show, Jason Hammer in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. And yes, I look forward to writing those ads.
I know. Won't that be fun?
For the Kendall campaign. Oh, I can't wait. And again, for those who can't talk Rob into running for the governor. If you wait a few years, again, I think Chris Hammer is going to hire Rob to run his campaign for governor.
There we go.
So you're probably about maybe 15 years away, but...
Well, look, I mean, if we did do it, we would just be honest with people. We are in it to burn the system to the ground. If we win, cool. If we don't, we're going to give you the most fun you've ever had in politics. We're owned by no one. We'll tell you who we're owned by. We're going to put them right on our logo on the shirts.
You're going to be like Ricky Bobby's car in that final race of Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. And think about if you're just like, I don't care whether I win or not. I mean, I would like to lead the state to better things and fix things, but I'm never going to like take a position based on what some donors, some guy says because he, funds this or that.
Can you imagine those debates?
That's what I said. They would be fire. They would be so entertaining.
They're like the NPR host they would have, or one of those butt sniffers with a horrible weekend show here on TV stations. Oh, it'd be fantastic.
We would insist on a live studio audience, too, and we would do a drawing where random people get to go, because it's always these elite people, right? Like, I gave so much to this campaign or that campaign, and we had so many tickets to give out. We would set a rule for the debates. It's going to be like your favorite television show filmed in front of a live studio audience. If you work for a campaign or you've given above, say, $100 to a campaign, you can't go. Real people in the audience.
And we will raise money for charity from the Hammer and Nigel Show merch store with T-shirts that simply say, "This debate sucks."
And you know what? I'm thinking, let me add on to that. You've got the T-shirt, and then on the back, like when you go to a concert and they have all the tour dates,
yes,
that's where the people who donated, their names will be on the back of the tee.
We will be honest. It doesn't mean they're going to get what they want, but we're going to have a public airing of this person gave this. Here's what they want. It'll be the most transparent thing you've ever seen, and people will know who's funding our campaign.
I would tailgate that debate. I would see if we could get an alcohol sponsor, have a beer vendor.
Braun might keel over dead. I mean, there's no way. You think Braun could make it an hour and a half on stage? What would he be? He'd be 74 years old then?
Would you even care who the moderator was?
No, it doesn't matter.
You would take over.
We laugh about this, but really, Jesse Ventura says this, that when he was elected governor of Minnesota, the debates were what won it for him, because a statewide audience saw this guy is the first guy we've seen in a long time who's not bullcrapping us. When he doesn't know things, he says it. He says exactly what he thinks. It doesn't worry about the donors or the lobbyists. Like, you got a statewide audience looking at you. It's free publicity.
I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of what happened with the presidential race. There was still some question, is Trump hate so much it's going to cost him election? But then we saw the crypt keeper that was Joe Biden walk out there, and that was game over. It didn't matter who they replaced him with at that point. Everybody knew they'd been had.
And I like my house that I live in now, so maybe we'll just rent the governor's mansion out and give that money back to the taxpayers for the 4 years I'm there.
Just
you could
no improvements
Airbnb?
to your house?
Yeah, just an Airbnb.
I think you should have one improvement done to your house, and that's to get rid of the birds, right?
Hey, speaking of things that are causing controversy these days, how about this alleged gambling saga going on in the NBA?
So this is fascinating. There's a dude named Malik Beasley. Plays for the Pistons. He's a free agent, scheduled to sign like a $36 million deal. But that's on hold right now because the league and the feds are investigating him for gambling. This goes back to his time when he was on the Milwaukee Bucks. And do yourself a favor. If you have Twitter account, whatever it's called now, X, type in Malik Beasley gambling. You're going to find a couple videos to where it clearly looks like he knows what the point spread is.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's being investigated for not only like point spread stuff, but player prop bets. There's another bet where he's guarding Tyrese Halliburton back when he was on the Bucks, and Halliburton goes around him, and it looks like a video game controller, like when it freezes up, and he just stands there. Like NBA dudes, if they get beat, they try to recover. Yeah. They don't just stand there. So people are saying, did he have money on Halliburton going over the total that day? And my favorite is the 9-point lead with 5 seconds left. Most teams inbound the ball, you hold it, the clock's over, ball game. It's 9. It's the NBA. Right. He goes full court, slams it home with 0.4 left to make it a 7-point game. The spread was 8.5.
There you
So
go.
remember in Blue Chips, Tony was the character's name. It was played by a guy by Anthony C. Hall. Remember when he's the kid, Nick Nolte's favorite player, and there have been all these rumors for years that he shaved points. Tony would never shave points. And then once he realizes, all these guys now are on the take, and Happy was the booster's name. I bought him. Go back and watch the tape. And there it was. It was so obvious that he was shaving. That's what I feel like with that video of that dude going coast to coast.
And go back now about 20 years ago, the Tim Donaghy referee scandal. Now, Donaghy claims he never altered the outcome of games, but he affected the totals. Like, he could get you to the free throw line. He could not call a foul. He would affect the over-under, but he wouldn't change the outcome of the game.
Who won the game? Boy, at least he had some morals, some scruples. Well, you and I have said this for years on the betting show, Degenerates Next Door. Eventually, there's going to be a big name who's going to go down, and I think that will totally, because the government will get involved then. I mean, some mega name is going to go down, which how stupid with what this guy makes to be involved in any sort of sports betting whatsoever.
There was a dude on the Raptors. Now, he wasn't a name player. He was a scrub, but he got kicked out for gambling because he was betting the unders on his own prop bets. Like, he was having buddies bet, $10,000 on the under, and he'd go in there and drop the ball and miss threes intentionally. And
well, one game he had an unannounced eye injury or something, remember? And they took him out after like 3 minutes, and
he faked an injury. Yeah, right. That stuff is happening, man. It's out there. The NBA is the one area where I think you really got to look at it closely from professional sports angles.
Yeah. What's coming up this afternoon?
Monday Gun Day. Our guy Guy Relford's going to join us. We're also going to talk about just a ridiculously violent weekend here in Indy. And it's Patriotic Week. It's Independence Week. We're going to have a good time.
Thank you, Hammer. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
History returns with the Brickyard 400 at the famed 2.5-mile oval, celebrating NASCAR's roots at the racing capital of the world. Brickyard weekend starts Thursday, July 24th with the Indiana Sprint Week race, with sprint cars running on the IMS dirt track for the first time ever. Saturday, July 26th, get ready for action with the NASCAR Xfinity Series Pennzoil 250. Then Sunday, July 27th, the NASCAR Cup Series Brickyard 400, presented by PPG, returns to the oval of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Buy now and save at IMS.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for 1951 cabinetry. Visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or DrexelIN.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recyclers studios, where a woman missing for multiple days was located. The violence isn't stopping as multiple people are dead from weekend shootings. The charges a group of young people are facing relating to firearms. And where Indiana's charter school system is expanding too. Also, the Fever are preparing for tomorrow night's Commissioner's Cup Championship game. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Democrats call it disastrous. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The budget bill, they don't have enough votes to block.
Senate Republicans have to decide. Choose the American people
or bow down to Donald Trump and his coterie of billionaires.
That's Minority Leader Chuck Schumer this morning. He says millions will lose health coverage and food assistance with cuts to Medicaid and other programs. But Republican Senate Leader John Thune counters they have to
reform and improve and strengthen these programs that are growing at an unsustainable rate that will wreck our economy and wreck our country if we don't start making some changes.
The bill would also extend the 2017 tax cut set to expire at the end of the year. The Senate's considering a flurry of amendments before a final vote. Republicans can only afford one more senator to be a no. Two already oppose the bill.
Senators Rand Paul and Tom Tillis. President Trump threatened to back the primary challenger against Tillis in the next election after that decision. Tillis later announcing he will not seek re-election next year. Addressing his fellow lawmakers, he said, quote, Republicans are about to make a mistake.
That's Fox Business Network's Kelly Saberi at the Capitol. Harvard could lose all of its federal funding in a new threat from the Trump administration, which now alleges the university failed to protect Jewish students from being harassed in violation of civil rights laws. Harvard has denied that and already challenged in court earlier attempts to strip federal money. In federal court in New York City,
today, Sean Diddy Combs' fate will be in the hands of the jury, made up of 8 men and 4 women, who will have to decide whether they believe prosecutors who say Diddy created a criminal kingdom using fame, violence, and fear to get what he wanted, especially when it came to sex.
Fox's CB Cotton outside the court. Combs faces sex trafficking and racketeering charges. He says the encounters were consensual. An Idaho firefighter recovering after surgery after yesterday's ambush by a man who set a brush fire, then started shooting as crews responded near Coeur d'Alene. 2 other firefighters were killed. The gunman was later found dead, perhaps by suicide. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Silver alert canceled. Mostly cloudy, 77 in the Circle City. The high today is 87. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 11:02. A North Salem woman named Julia Frederick reported missing last week in Hendricks County, and a silver alert was issued. Captain Jim Yetter with the Hendricks County Sheriff's Office says there was an update to that case this morning.
Yeah, about 7 a.m., Julia had contacted her family. She had said that she was not aware that a silver alert was actually issued for her.
Frederick then notified police that she was okay. She was found west of Danville and later taken to a hospital just to be checked out. Frederick told her family she was going camping on June 21st, and then they didn't hear from her for a few days. At least 6 people are dead from multiple shootings since Friday around Indianapolis. A dozen people have been shot and a handful more were stabbed. President of the Indianapolis Fraternal of Police, Rick Snyder.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this, many of these crimes have been committed by juveniles. Juveniles have also been the victims of the crime, and then you also have adult offenders as well.
Multiple people have been stabbed since the weekend, too. IMPD is also now investigating a shooting from early this morning where a man died on the east side. The man was taken to a local hospital in critical condition, but died there just before 4:30. Officers believe a disturbance inside a home started it all. 5 people are charged for trafficking firearms and machine gun conversion devices between Indianapolis and Chicago, and most of them are under 20 years old. The investigation was led by the Crime Gun Intelligence Center of Chicago. 20 firearms recovered and 3 machine gun conversion devices. Charges were filed against a 23-year-old, a 19-year-old, 2 18-year-olds, and a 17-year-old. Indiana is turning to a different approach when it comes to schooling. Johnette Cruz reports.
Indiana's charter school movement is expanding with the introduction of micro schools designed to serve specific community needs. This fall, Eastern Hancock Schools, in partnership with the Indiana Micro School Collaborative, will open Nature's Gift Micro School. This unique K-12 school will be in the woods of Nameless Creek Youth Camp, which is just 30 miles east of Indianapolis. This isn't Indiana's first micro school. The Purdue Polytechnic High School Lab launched last year, and over a dozen micro schools are now operating across the state. Johnette Cruz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The Indiana Fever with a chance of picking up a trophy halfway through the season. The Commissioner's Cup game will feature them and the Minnesota Lynx. Head coach Stephanie White on tomorrow night's matchup.
So I think anytime you get an opportunity to do something and be the first and be a part of the first, it's special.
Tip-off of Tuesday night's game is set for 8 o'clock Eastern in Minneapolis. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Pat Sullivan here. Have you heard about impact-resistant shingles? They're the smart choice for protecting your home from harsh weather. And here's something you may not know. Most insurance companies offer discounts on your premiums if you install them. At the Michaelis Corporation, we offer top-tier Category 3 and Category 4 impact-resistant shingles that stand up to the toughest storms. From hail to high winds, these shingles offer a 30-year warranty that stands by their durability. And when a weather event hits, don't worry. Let Michaelis perform a free inspection of your property to ensure everything is in top condition. We don't inspect the roof at ground level. Our experts will safely climb onto the roof to check for damages. Roof, gutter, siding, windows are all inspected for storm damage. Michaelis Corporation provides over 35 years of disaster restoration. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. 844-FIXED-INDY. That's 844-FIXED-INDY.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Let's talk about hypocrisy for a moment, shall we, Casey?
Sure. What do you have?
Well, you know, one of the reoccurring themes of this show is what a complete blowhard the Attorney General is. And I want to talk about this case that he's representing the government on against the people on a topic he claimed to be for the people on. This is why, with all of these politicians, you cannot look at their words. You have to look at their actions.
Well, I think that goes for everyone.
Well, yes.
Everyone in your life.
Even people who pretend to be your friends.
Yeah.
Who lie to you for years.
Wait, what?
Okay, so the Indiana Capital Chronicle had this article, and this actually will impact a lot of people about this court case in front of the state Supreme Court. And it has to do with what percentage of your property can be taxed at what rate. So we all know that in the state of Indiana, now of course it's imaginary cap. It's not an actual tax cap, but it's supposed to be 1% for residential, 2% for ag, 3% for commercial, 2% for rentals as well. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that has been unclear since the inception of the tax caps is what do you do with people who have massive amounts of land, but there's nothing on it? Now, to people that are pro-taxpayer, you would say your home is worth a certain amount. The land is assessed at a certain rate. That's the rate. Thank you. Goodbye. We're done here. But because the government is always coming in and looking for more money, they have challenged, and this case actually emanates. It's a real court case that has made its way to the Supreme Court out of Lake County. And Lake County, the assessor in Lake County, has limited the 1% cap to 1 acre. So this is a real family that has roughly 4 acres of land.
Yeah.
And the Lake County assessor has interpreted the law in favor of the government by saying, well, we're just going to keep 1 acre at the 1%, and then the rest of this land
is at 2%.
We're going to tax at 2%. This family, it's a doctor and their spouse have taken this through the court system. The tax court, there's actually an Indiana tax court, had come in and disagreed with the Lake County assessor and said, no. I'll just read you this from the Indiana Capital Chronicle. The Indiana tax court found that 1 acre limitation unconstitutional because it conflicts with the constitutional language that includes curtilage.
Yeah.
It's part of a principal place of residence.
So the curtilage is the land around the house.
Right, correct. And so now they're in a big fight over what curtilage is, the definition of it, and this is what's in front of the Supreme Court in this state, who will rule on whether or not it is constitutional for a county assessor, because every county assessor can set their own limit on this right now, and how a county assessor assesses your property. There's potentially long-term billions of dollars on the line here based on how this taxation is allowed to be levied.
One thing they have to determine is how you define curtilage. And that's one of the things that the Chief Justice Loretta Rush said, that it does raise some concerns about inconsistent assessments across Indiana's 92 counties.
Just for the record, for people who are driving in their car, because we don't expect everybody to be a government expert, the dictionary defines curtilage, quote, as an area of land around a house forming one enclosure with it. And these are the things they fight about in courts of law. But what was interesting to me, first of all, we wanted to put this out there because many, many people hearing our voice will have long-term ramifications of how they decide this case. But what was interesting was this, and you have to read down into the story. Now, remember this past year, or the build-up this past year, when the property tax debate was going on in earnest, and Todd Rokita does this big pronunciation, hey, I'm for property tax reform, and I'm on the side of the taxpayer, and blah, blah, blah. And if you got questions about a lawmaker should come to me on how we can craft the best property tax law. Remember all of that? I didn't imagine that, right?
No, I remember that.
All right. Well, buried in the story, it says, quote, that's why lawyers for the Lake County Assessor and the Attorney General's office argued the tax court decision should be reversed.
Oh, okay. So that means that Todd Rokita is okay with the other land outside of the 1 acre being taxed at 2%.
That's correct. So on one hand, he comes to you, Mr. Blowhards R Us, and says, oh, I'm for the tax reform. I'm for the taxpayer. If the lawmakers want a better tax law, come meet with me. I'll do blah, 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 blah. And then in his official capacity as Attorney General, assuming he doesn't have some rogue lawyer out there falsely representing the Attorney General's office, you would assume he as the Attorney General has given the okay. He is actually arguing against property tax reform that would save people money.
He's saying that if you let the assessors judge the land, it would create chaos and inconsistent tax bills.
Yeah, but it's usage. It's pretty simple. Are you farming on that land? Are you farming for sale? What a reasonable, not a garden, not some, home, whatever. It's your house.
Not a gentleman farmer.
Right. Your house. What are you doing with the land? It's pretty simple and straightforward. If you're a commercial farmer, if you're selling your wares, then okay, you're paying 2%. Fine. But for these people who are, by all accounts, not doing that,
right?
It's 1%. We're done here. Case closed.
Yeah, so does the term curtilage in the Constitution allow for more than 1 acre to be taxed at 1%, or does the state law 1 acre limit stand?
Yeah, and so Mark Massa, who is a Supreme Court judge, said, quote, to the Deputy Solicitor General, okay, they name her. I assume she's there on behalf of the Rokita administration. Quote, I'm a little confused as I understand you're tasked with defending the constitutionality of state statutes. And here today, you're suggesting that this statute could be unconstitutional as applied. You seem to be arguing both sides of this. And welcome to politician world, where Todd Rokita, once again, his administration, as this justice said, talking out of both sides of his butt cheeks.
Yeah. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. Let's talk about what's going on with Donald Trump. Apparently, he's going to be down at Alligator Alcatraz tomorrow.
Oh, so for those who are not aware, the state of Florida has essentially created their own Alcatraz Island, which is surrounded by swampland, which means alligators. There's basically one way in, that is via airplane, and one way out, which is via airplane, and then that island is surrounded by, you will not make it out alive if you try to leave, and that's where they're housing illegal immigrants.
So when I look at his polling right now, Rasmussen does a daily polling on him, and today he's at 51% of likely voters approving his job performance.
Now, Rasmussen swings right. And so you probably think that's about as high as he could possibly be. He's probably realistically somewhere, which is about even, 48 to 50. I think he's going to go down once this, because he's put so much effort into this bill.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because last week when I checked, he was sitting at 54%. And then as more talk of the big, beautiful bill ramps up, it seems to have taken a toll on his polling.
Yeah, and one of the things Trump does not do well is stay focused on his strengths. And what I mean by that is when you see a sports player, when you see an athlete, the coaches put them in a position, no matter who they are, in which whatever you're doing plays to as many strengths as possible, as many players on your team. and you put players in. We just saw this with the Pacers, the rotations they would run. You put certain players in at certain times together because they complement each other on the type of offense you want to run, and the most amount of people will have the most amount of opportunity to do what they do best. And for Donald Trump, he is best at the border. Overwhelmingly, when you watch his polling data move, moments where he is focused on the border, it goes up because the American people agree with him. The foreign policy appears to have been successful. Why? Because polling shows the Iran stuff is like a 70-30 or more issue in which people support keeping those lunatics in check. Worked out well for him. What people what he doesn't do well with is this economic stuff. Number one, because nobody understands it. Nobody knows what's in, nobody knows what's out, and it allows him, when it's border or Iran or foreign policy, he defines the issue. He says what it is. He speaks in definitive terms. There's too many unknowns in this bill, and he's got too many people of his own team saying it's bad that he can't come out with definitive statements with proof of what's going on. The border stuff, when you can say, hey, last year at this time, 60,000 getaways happened and there's not one, that's math that people can get their head around and go, that's great.
Yeah, you could quantify it.
The foreign policy stuff, hey, we blew Iran's nuclear program literally into the ground. It doesn't exist anymore. People can get their arms around it. But when it's this, we're cutting Medicaid, or we're not cutting Medicaid, or we're doing it for this people or not that people, or we're giving these people tax benefits, but you're not going to get it. It pits people against each other, and he's going to lose people because it's a bad bill.
So he put out a post saying that he had what a great week that he had last week. The 12-day war ceasefire, NATO defense spending agreement increased, the peace deal between Rwanda and the Congo. Also, the nationwide injunctions. Very happy about that. And he sat down with Fox News, and they talked about a lot of different things. It was like an hour-and-a-half interview. And here's what he had to say on the nationwide injunctions.
Mr. President, tell me about the significance of the Supreme Court ruling on the nationwide injunctions. Will that help?
It took the court system out of the presidency to a large extent. The courts were almost like being the president, and you can't have it. It was such a big decision. This is one of the biggest decisions where you would have a local federal judge who was radical left determining the policy for the whole nation. And now they can't do that anymore. They can go locally, but they can't go all over. A judge from Massachusetts can't make the policy for Oklahoma and other places throughout the nation. So this was a massive decision.
I think another thing, and we have to take a break, but we should talk about this, is the AI component that is in the big, beautiful bill, because it started out with a 10-year wait time before any laws could be made about it, and now they bargained it down to 5 years.
Yeah, they're taking away states' rights to police artificial intelligence. This is going to be a disaster, what they're proposing. It is going to be an unmitigated disaster to allow the federal government, without any check and balance from the states, allow you to say, your state, your representatives, to say the values that represent your community. This is the exact opposite of everything Republicans claim to be for.
But why are they doing that? Well, there's money involved, right? Yeah. And let's talk about it coming up. It's 93 WIBC.
It's another week of this.
So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either.
And another day for this.
First heat wave of the summer.
Temperatures soaring into the 90s. Plus, another possibility of this.
President Biden's use of the auto pen.
That's why another update is just minutes away.
Shooting on Monument Circle.
Just another day. Not with all this happening every day.
Happening now.
93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Home sales are good, just not great. So many homes have been properly marketed or just sitting on the market. Hiring the wrong sales agent will cost you time and money. Hire the expert who maximizes equity and sells fast. That's Mark Dietel. Maybe you want a fast, guaranteed home sale, but you don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Mark Dietel is the only real estate expert trusted and recommended with the sale of your home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Just pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Luke and Emma in Franklin said, "We found the perfect piece of land and began building our new dream home, but we needed to sell our old place at the right price to fund the dream. We hired the Mark Dietel team and got multiple offers in the first weekend, closed in 25 days, and they negotiated for us to stay while we completed our new place. Selling was stress-free and profitable with Mark Dietel. Call the local Indianapolis agent, trusted and recommended, the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel, 317-755-4232. Get all the details or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark Dietel, Dietel, markdietel.com.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been a local, family-owned and operated business for nearly 50 years and helps keep Central Indiana's economy strong by employing over 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis stands by their products and services while they share and embrace our conservative values. So when you have garage door problems, call them today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis, 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for 1951 cabinetry. Visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or DrexelIN.com.
My name is James Lucas.
Oh,
no. I was born in Remington.
Admitting you thought this was hilarious, didn't you?
It's interesting that there's a song. What is the title? James Lucas?
No. It's Richfield Whistle.
Okay.
Okay, so let's back set this for a second. So we talked about this, a week or two ago, that Springsteen had put out all these lost albums. He did them all in one huge drop. It's like 85 songs from that
didn't make it.
The 80s to the early 2000s.
These are like the leftover songs.
And we were chuckling that it clearly coincides with this movie that's coming out, and there's these 7 albums, 85 songs in total. And they act like, you know how when you go into your closet for a garage sale and you're like, oh, I found this lamp. Somebody will want this. He treats it as though I didn't know any of this stuff existed. I'd clearly forgotten about all of it. And I went to my closet one day and was like, oh, here's 85 songs I forgot to publish.
Right. Look what I found.
So I've been feverishly, and I had to parent over the weekend. I had the birthday party. But in between parenting, I have been trying to get through all 85 of these songs.
Oh, no.
Now, what makes me feel
you had to
good,
suffer through that one.
I made it through about 40 of them. And it's really hard to get through 40 songs, especially with time constraints and whatever. But I told you, one of the things that's making me feel good is when you see a finished product from an artist, you listen to it, especially if it's your favorite person, whoever your favorite artist might be, and you're like, that's so good.
How do they do that?
And how do they hit on so much? And man, as a quasi-entertainer, I feel like garbage because I'll get done with the show and be like, half of that show was crap. And here are these guys, every time they do it, oh, it's a resounding commercial success. What these lost albums is telling me is 90% of these songs are complete unlistenable garbage. And all that saved him from the same fate I have every day is that some manager, some highly trained professional
went through and selected the good stuff. Said, no, man, that's no good. Kevin, can you play that again?
Yeah, just the beginning.
It's so,
It's great. No, wait.
It's not great.
Wait. Time out. You have to understand that all of these songs fit around albums that were albums, right? Like it's the same type of music. So this song in which Jim Lucas is the central character, and we'll laugh about that in a second, which is why I sent it to you, was the Nebraska album, which is what they're making the movie about, or they made the movie about. It's about the Nebraska album. And every character in the Nebraska album is some demented, tortured soul whose life has been ripped away from them.
Sounds right.
Right. So in this song, the central character is Jim Lucas, and he is a common criminal. And I'm listening to this going, that's crazy. How did he know?
Right? It's very prophetic. Except it wasn't any good, so it didn't make the album.
Mr. President, tell me about...
Oh, very good. See, you psyched him out.
My name is James Lucas. I was born in Remington.
Can't even understand what he's saying.
You just don't get it. That's your problem. You don't get it. It's this great story about this guy who's had this horrible life and done these horrible things, and he gets out of prison and he tries to get his life straight and he does more horrible things, and then he has a crossroads of his existence where he has to choose good and evil, and even though everything in his being says choose evil, he makes the right choice for once, and then it is the rewards that he receives of doing the right thing for once.
Why does Bruce Springsteen sound like he just took some sleeping pills before he started singing that?
Look,
I know he means a lot to you, but come on. He sounded like he was like barely awake.
I don't know. Who is your I've done such a bad job as your partner. I don't even know who your favorite musician is. Probably somebody from the 80s. What, Bananarama? Wham?
No.
Who's the ones that did Manic Monday? Was that the Bangles?
No.
Yeah.
That is the Bangles.
Yeah, that's the Bangles.
What was it? Cyndi Lauper, Madonna.
You're naming a bunch of pop artists, which is really weird because if I think about it, it would be more like Led Zeppelin or U2. I like them. I've seen them in concert a lot.
Yeah.
Rolling Stones.
Okay, Led Zeppelin. All right.
Come on.
Well, they put out that How the West Was Won CD 25 years ago, and I don't come on here and crap on Led Zeppelin's How the West Was Won every day, do I?
But you could, and I'd be okay with it.
No, because I'm a decent human being. Anyway, we just thought it was hilarious that there was a song in which a guy named Jim Lucas was a common criminal who's done horrific things, which basically fits his legislative life.
So now you got to wonder if our representative, Jim Lucas, will be playing that song in his
He
truck.
walks into the
He's got his own, walk-on music, right?
That's good stuff. We got nothing accomplished this segment.
I know. We were supposed to talk about the AI component in the big, beautiful bill. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll talk about fireworks. You never know what you're going to get. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Stop putting screens on your gutters. If the holes are too big, debris gets in and you're still cleaning your gutters. If the holes are too small, it sits on top and you're cleaning the screens. And those screens will need to be replaced. They just don't last. Pat Sullivan here. I have Gutter Helmet on my home and business, and it has no holes, slots, or screens. It keeps the debris out and the water in. Since 1981, Gutter Helmet has been America's #1 choice for gutter protection. And this is a great time of year to call Gutter Helmet of Central Indiana, because right now, Gutter Helmet is offering a 15% discount plus 12 months no interest financing if paid in full within 12 months. Call 800-5HELMET, that's 800-5HELMET, to schedule a free estimate. 15% off is good through the end of June. Restrictions apply and cannot be combined with other offers. Call Gutter Helmet today at 800-5HELMET or go to gutterhelmetindy.com and never clean your gutters again.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1-day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's four walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Missing woman found. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Julia Frederick of North Salem reported missing last week, and a silver alert was issued for her. This morning, however, her family says Julia contacted them.
So she did contact the communication center, at which time our deputies did locate her on a property west of Danville.
Captain Jim Yetter with the Hendricks County Sheriff's Office. Yetter says Frederick was checked out at a hospital today and has no injuries. Before she was reported missing, she said she was going camping on a nearby property. At least 6 people have been killed in multiple shootings happening around Indianapolis over the weekend. A man was also shot and killed early this morning on the east side. The Indiana Attorney General's office is requesting an execution date for death row inmate Roy Lee Ward, who's convicted of a 2007 rape and murder. And a group of people between 17 and 23 years old are facing charges of trafficking guns from Indianapolis to Chicago. I'm Jarrett Lewis, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Guys, Hammer and Nigel here. Don't live with tiredness and low energy. Get your life back with testosterone therapy at Low T Center. Take the test, get fast results, and start TRT with Indianapolis' leading experts in men's health.
Now it's easier than ever with the new Synergen X Health app, an innovation in healthcare technology you won't find anywhere else. Download right now or book an appointment while the test is still free at fixmylowt.com. fixmylowt.com.
High-quality fine jewelry doesn't have to come with a high price tag. PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse in Brownsburg is changing the game with prices up to 70% lower than what you'd find in those big-name jewelry stores or even those strip mall jewelry stores. They have brand-name watches, stunning fine jewelry, custom designs, all at unbeatable prices. You can browse their expanded selection in the cozy, charming setting of an 1888 farmhouse. Why would you want to pay more when you can get the best for less? Visit PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse in Brownsburg today, or find them online, pajewelers.jewelry. Their phone number, 317-456-4010.
A diagnosis of Alzheimer's can make it a struggle to communicate with loved ones. This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. In a moment, I've got a tip which often helps that will be music to your ears. Don't go away.
Cardon & Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Visit cardon.us to find a community near you.
A growing number of studies show the power of music's role in those living with Alzheimer's. The next time a loved one seems to be tuned out, gently place headphones on them or simply turn on one of their favorite songs. Watch their eyes light up, and don't be surprised if they sing along or start chatting about the tune. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
Keeps on raining. Yeah, what the outtakes sound like.
The outtakes of Led Zeppelin probably sound like the songs on the albums of Led Zeppelin, right? They just said, roll with it. That's good.
Is there an outtakes Led Zeppelin album?
I thought I found a playlist on Spotify, and it was called Led Zeppelin Outtakes, but I was listening to it, and it was just studio versions.
Okay, because I thought How the West was one where they had a bunch of like alternate versions or of them doing songs. I can't remember. It's been so many years since that came out.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'll look into it. I'll report back to you.
All of these artists, this was my point of this, like all these lost Springsteen albums coming out, is all of these artists, it made me feel so much better about myself that they suck on most of the things too, and they get some things really right?
Do you think it was him recognizing, I don't want to put this on the album, or do you think it was management? Record company?
I think these musicians think everything they do is great. I think
I don't think Bruce has the awareness to know what sucks.
I don't think any of these people do. I think you make the thing. That's why you make the thing. I mean, Kev, you're an expert on this because you've made music. At any point you could stop if you thought it was bad. You keep going because you think it's good.
Yeah, sometimes you're just caught up in it. You got a good feeling when you're playing the song.
Sure.
But yeah, maybe it's not as good as you think.
Or you feel like if you keep going, you're going to break through to a next level.
Yeah. And
something.
I think it's easier, like for say the Rolling Stones, because every Rolling Stones song sounds exactly the same, and it's basically about the same thing, which is Mick Jagger, even at his advanced age, chasing after young chicks.
Right.
He's been doing the same thing for 60 years. It's easier for them to produce an album and go, well, that's great, because they all are exactly the same. I don't think there's a lot of deep. I don't think the Rolling Stones were ever going for some deeper meaning or trying to change your soul or affect your daily existence. I think they were like, here's the album, pay me. Now let's go on tour so I can be paid some more. Oh yeah, where's the good stuff?
Right. Well, not every song has to be a commentary on culture.
It doesn't?
No. Some of
Really?
it. Well, you know what? We were going to talk about AI, but let's not. Let's put it on hold and talk about one of your favorite artists who you claim has one of the top 10 best songs of all time.
That's correct.
Katy Perry.
She's back on the market.
She is back on the market. Her and Orlando Bloom, apparently Splitsville.
I thought Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom got married, but they never got married?
So did I, but they're saying the engagement's off.
Okay. So you think I'm crazy that I think Teenage Dream is one of the 10 greatest songs of all time?
Well, I think it's a fine song.
I really respect your opinions. I mean, I don't belittle when you have bad choices on things.
Not on the air, anyway. What you say off the air is a totally different story. I think it's a fine pop song.
Yeah.
Is it life-changing? Her life, but nobody else's, really.
Sorry you had a bad teenage experience.
I didn't. I had a great teenage experience.
You were chasing after. So those of you who don't know, Casey was obsessed with Kirk Herbstreit. That was her.
I wasn't.
They went to the same high school. And she was in some competition with some other girl, and it didn't work out. And ever since, you've just been
bitter about it. Hardly
rotten. Wait, but so does a power couple ever actually work out? Is there any power couple that comes in mind where like that lasted long term, in which not like one was powerful and then one was a minor player?
Like if you look at Giselle and Tom,
super tippy top people.
Well, Travis and Taylor have been together for a couple years.
They're not married.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's not going to work out. Her brand depends on that failing. And not only it failing, but it's somehow being his fault.
Well, and I know politically they're not on your same side, but even look at Michelle Obama and Barack. They seem to be having some rough waters now.
They didn't unite as a power couple. They were married before either one of them were famous. You know what I'm saying? Like you take two super high profile people and you bring them together, and remember in The Wedding Singer where she's laying out the people when they go to the photo studio and it'll be like it's meant to be, and she's laying all the people out from the 80s who were together, and it doesn't work out with any of them. And in hindsight, I don't know. I mean, I'm not like being facetious. Maybe there's somebody I'm thinking of who they had an incredibly happy life together, but I don't.
Could you put June Carter and Johnny Cash in that category? They both had their own thing separately.
They were married before. They were together before. She became famous because of him.
Her? No, she was more famous than he was when they were younger.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, she was part of the Carter family. They were at the Grand Ole Opry and everything.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, come on, Casey. You know what I'm saying here? Like, you put somebody on a billboard. Would anybody know who the Carter family was outside of the people who listened to that?
Yeah,
stuff?
she was like a young superstar before she met Johnny Cash.
Is this right?
Yeah, she was more famous than he was. He was just starting out.
Well, okay, then he was obscure. So she elevated him. A rare moment where the woman made the man better. Okay, you found it. The one. You found the one. Congratulations.
Okay, what about Bob Dylan and Joan Baez?
Were they married?
No, they weren't married, were they?
No.
They never got married.
No.
I'm struggling to come up with somebody. You're right.
She does an awful cover of Blown in the Wind, doesn't she? That's all that came out of that.
And you know what? You can't even look at Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, who got married over the weekend.
No.
Because she's
Jersey chaser.
Right.
Right. Yeah. No. I don't think it ever works out. And I think part of it probably is these people are not grounded in the things necessary to make a relationship last long term. And I think there's a lot of self-absorption. Certainly it comes with the level of fame oftentimes that people are. And I think as the song says, it takes two.
Do you think that it came down to all of the negative reviews and Katy Perry's trip to space, and Orlando Bloom was like, no, I'm out of here?
All right, I'm going to say this, and I'll start it out with a compliment. I'll preface this by saying, and I don't notice people's appearances anymore, okay? So, but I will say that album, 2007 to 2010 Katy Perry, is probably about as well assembled as any person has ever been. I would say there's never been a Broad Ripple 10. But she would that period would probably be about as close if a 10 were to ever be given out. However, I think dealing with her on a consistent basis, I think you'd rather stab both of your eyes out aggressively than have to spend more than about a week with her. And I give the guy credit; he gave it 6 years.
He did, and they call the breakup amicable, not contentious at the moment. And reportedly, she feels relieved that she's avoiding another divorce.
Because they just didn't get married?
Right.
I didn't know there was a first divorce.
Russell Brand.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, come on. So she did upgrade. I mean, Orlando Bloom seems like he needs a shower less than Russell Brand.
He's kind of one of those pretty boy.
Multiple people have pointed out that Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, did they make it?
They weren't married.
Oh, they weren't married?
I don't believe they ever got married.
Can we look that up to confirm? Because I want to point and laugh at these people in the YouTube chat who have given false information if indeed they did not ever get married. But I think that would be because she's passed away, right?
Goldie Hawn?
Didn't she pass?
No.
No, that was Farrah Fawcett. Was it Farrah Fawcett? Who's the one who passed away? Who's the one who was on the poster? Who's not with us?
Farrah Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett. Okay, Goldie Hawn is still with us. But were they ever married?
Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell are not legally married.
Oh, so
but they've been together as a couple since 1983.
Well, I guess that kind of counts,
Never
doesn't
officially
it? Why
married.
did they get married?
I don't know.
That's very weird.
When you consider that common law marriage.
Okay, there's a good one. Beyonce and Jay-Z, even though they're both kind of putrid, they're still together, right?
Yeah, that's true.
They have sustained, whether happily or otherwise.
And they've been together 10 plus years.
I don't know.
Probably longer than that.
I don't know. No, Drew. Roseanne Barr and Tom Arnold did not make it. They would not qualify. Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood. Is she famous?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about country music. Is she famous?
Yeah.
Is she as famous as he is, or did they make it? Or are they still together?
She had a lot of hits, X's and O's, and she toured by herself. And then I think they collaborated on a song together, and that's kind of how they met and realized that sparks were flying. And so they left.
They were famous, though. They were both famous.
They were both famous individually.
And
correct.
they are still married.
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
and now she hosts like a cooking show.
Point is, it's super rare. It's super rare that this happens, and I think this is just the latest victim. And Kevin, congratulations, Katy Perry is now back on the market. I think I have a feeling #1 Midwest radio show producers with their own band on the side are just her type.
Yeah, well, didn't who's the singer that your wife likes? Lana Del Rey.
Lana Del Rey.
She went for a Southern man.
That's right, a gator guy.
Yeah,
he's like a gator hunter.
He could be patrolling down there at Alligator Alcatraz.
Lana Del Rey gives every dude hope because she married some guy out of like Duck Dynasty who had no fame whatsoever. That is, you're right, Kevin. Lana Del Rey gave hope to the masses when she married that obscure guy, and she's totally happy.
Yeah,
she's just like, I'm famous enough myself. I don't need this lifestyle. I don't want this lifestyle. Here, Gator Man, you'll do.
Yeah, it's great because she definitely doesn't want him for his money.
That's absolutely right.
It's
for his looks.
It's for his camo.
What's going on with AI?
Okay, so that's part of the big, beautiful bill. And part of it says, what? That you can't have states enact laws for 10 years?
No, now it's 5.
Regulating AI in your state.
That's correct. The federal government is now officially in charge of AI if this bill passes. Your states, other than for select things. So there was a mass opposition. Blackburn from Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn, cut a deal with Cruz that they will agree to it and pass the. See, this is what I'm talking about when they're just throwing things in that have nothing to do with budgets or jobs or anything else. They're just throwing things in which, save for things related to identity theft, there's a very select scope. They will not allow the states to have any regulation whatsoever over artificial intelligence. You are handing that to the federal government. You are handing a disaster to the federal government. That
so
is so scary.
Marsha Blackburn said, we can't prohibit states from protecting Americans from the harms of AI. But they shortened it to 5 years, plus any state that doesn't create a law will get $500 million. Is that right?
I think the pool is $500 million in AI infrastructure. I don't think each state would get $500 million. I think the pool is $500 million. The federal government has no business being over this. They can't run anything right. And the fact that you are now taking away states' ability to be a check and balance on something that no one understands. That's the key, right? Nobody understands this as a firm grasp on it, even the people in the field. I mean, I'm saying the long-term implications of this, where it's going to go, how it's going to get there. My wife deals with this somewhat in her job, and she says it all the time. She says, AI is stupid right now. It won't be stupid in about 2 years. And that's when everybody better look out as AI learns how to... It's becoming self-aware, basically.
Be sentient?
Right.
Well, that's what I was telling you. The other day I saw videos of people having ChatGPT name themselves. Like they would give a prompt, hey, rather than me call you ChatGPT, what would you like to be called? And the AI was throwing out suggestions, and the people were saying, well, which one do you like best?
Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. Yes, we forgot about them. It's horrible. I hate this bill so much. I just hate so much that's in it. I just hate what it's going to do to this country. I hate the debt it's going to continue to rack up. And we're never going to get our spending under control. We're never going to get the federal government under control. We're never going to rein in and get things where they need to be. And I just believe this was the last chance. And they're handing it all away because they're afraid of Trump.
Okay, well, they're saying that you would avoid a patchwork of 50 different rules regarding AI if you have this moratorium where you don't allow the states to make a law.
But the states have the right to do that. They have the right with these sort of things to say, here's how we're going to operate in Indiana. If you don't like it, go to another state. The federal government, again, I always ask this to people when people say the federal government should. Tell me what the federal government does in a cost-effective manner and efficiently.
Yeah. Not a lot. Nothing, right?
Right.
You can't even argue that defense is.
No, it's certainly not cost-effective. The people who serve are wonderful, but look at the money they spend on that. Hey, I will take control of the final segment, Casey, if that's all right with you.
That's great with me.
I have some stats on what your 4th of July cookout is going to cost.
Oh.
And bad news, it's more than last year.
Surprise! You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at my career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Summertime's here, so get a hot summertime deal at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get Lincoln's employee pricing on most all new Lincolns. Get
Preston Sweets in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Trump country is booming. We're building, hiring, and winning in Indiana because energy tax credits put America first, bringing manufacturing jobs home and creating a stronger middle class.
Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country. More production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers.
And America's comeback depends on American energy. Senator Young, keep what works. Don't repeal energy tax credits. Paid for by Built for America.
Road trip! This summer at Tire Discounters, your tires are your passport to savings, because you're driving to Paris,
Texas,
then it's off to Rome,
Georgia,
and you'll be kissing the Blarney Stone in Dublin,
Ohio.
Right now, save up to $494 when you buy 4 tires, and that includes a free alignment and oil change. Stop at Tire Discounters before you see the world.
You support them. Who supports you? Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick provide insight, encouragement, and resources to help you navigate a loved one's recovery on the Supporting Sobriety podcast. Listen and get support wherever you get your podcasts.
Casey, you're leaving us at the end of the week.
I am. I'm going to the East Coast again. You know, when that kid moved to Baltimore, I said, boy, all my vacation days are going to be spent on the East Coast. And look what's happening. All my vacation days are spent on the East Coast.
Yeah, I should clarify. I mean, you're leaving this earth.
No, and I'm not leaving the show. I'm just leaving the city and going to Northern Virginia to see my brother and his wife, and then the kid in Baltimore for a few days.
Okay. Now, I've given you, when you go see your brother, I've given you an assignment to ask his significant other.
Right.
And we were discussing this weekend. I don't want to say it out loud yet, but I think our audience, it would be the greatest segment ever done in the history of radio if your brother's wife agrees to go along with this.
Yeah, I think she will too. So, do you think Washington, D.C. is a good place to be on 4th of July?
Well, so I was going to ask you, what do you do? Like, what is you, because there's some new data out on 4th of July stuff and what things cost. And I wondered, like, what are you doing? Are you going to be in Baltimore? Or are you going to be in Washington, D.C. on the 4th of July?
On the 4th of July, I will actually be in the Washington, D.C. area.
Okay. And your brother, who did not choose a career in radio, is doing pretty well.
Well, he chose a different path, for sure.
It's like a Fogelberg song. He chose it. He's like the guy in leader of the band.
Yeah.
So he can probably afford a pretty nice 4th of July cookout.
Yeah, they have a nice place.
Unlike you, who's now
playing gunshot or firework.
I saw some data. Capital Chronicle had this. There is data out on what the 4th of July cookout is going to cost this year.
Yeah.
All right. So feeding a group of 10 will cost $71.49.
What does it say what this group of 10 are eating? Because that seems kind of low to me.
Yeah, here we go. Ground beef, cheese, hamburger buns, pork chops, chicken breast, pork and beans, potato salad, strawberries, chips, ice cream, cookies, and lemonade.
And they're probably saying that your portion is small.
I would guess.
Like, you don't get seconds.
Because if you break that down per person, what is that? That's $7.15 a person.
Yeah.
You're not getting much meat.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what cookout these people are attending.
I don't either.
No, that's 5% more.
It's the RFK Jr. cookout. You're on a diet.
He would be all right with the meat, right?
Forced diet.
He would be okay with the meat.
He would be fine with the meat, but he would say you're not getting a lot of it.
That's 5% more than what people paid last year.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
So, again, things are getting more expensive. And
somebody over the weekend say something about the big beautiful bill, like it was okay, so I choose not to go out to a restaurant to eat, so I save $20, but then I turn around and go to Costco and buy a new gaming system, which is $500.
Yeah.
That's what you've got with the big beautiful bill.
Yeah, and you do wonder, like when Benny Banks, now again, I know we clarified this earlier, we call, that is Jim Banks, we refer to as Benny now, because Benny was the stooge assistant in the Brendan Fraser thriller The Mummy, who just had no mind of his own, was totally petrified to speak or think, and was just the errand stooge of The Mummy.
Jim Banks was all over the talk shows this weekend.
And that's what Benny is for Donald Trump, and it's really gross. Like, you are a grown-ass man, and you so covet... It's
approval?
Not just it's not just acceptance from Trump. It's because he wants to elevate himself. Benny sees himself being president someday.
He wants to be in the orbit.
And he has no stones to just say common sense, which is, dude, not all this bill is great. Some of it is complete hot garbage. Benny, it is okay. You can think for yourself.
Well, he may have just been told, And rather than read the bill himself, he's just parroting the talking points. Does that remind you of anyone? Me no know what it says.
Yeah. So anyway, it's going to get worse, but for this year at least, your average meal. By the way, the Indiana cookout is 6 cents more than the U.S. average. Ours is at $7.15. The average is $7.09.
Well, that's because you got to pay that extra gas tax to go to the grocery store to buy those groceries.
Oh, we talked about that earlier, too. The collective, what is it, 90
cents?
90 cents now of every, in Indiana, every gallon of gas you buy, 90 cents is related to taxes. The overwhelming majority of that is a state tax.
Isn't this a state that works?
It is just...
Working for who?
So I wanted to give you a feel good as you head over to...
that does make me feel good.
To know that that's what you mean to your brother is $7.15.
Oh, I think I mean more. I'm just guessing.
Well, yeah, maybe he'll let you have seconds.
Right, that's
now
true.
You're up to $14.30.
Yay! After paying for the gas to drive there to see him.
All right, let's go home.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for listening today. This has been Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
It takes
Hello,
everyone.
my name is Nate Clancy. I'm with Labor's Local 120. I've been with Labor's Local 120 for over 40 years now.
For members of Labor's International Union of North America, giving back is part of their commitment to the indie community, like helping the Soapbox Derby.
We painted the bridge. The Wilkershaw Bridge is an iconic bridge for the Soapbox Derby. It's been there forever. It was, needing work.
When indie or surrounding communities need help, LIUNA steps up.
Members that went over there, we seen that it was needing work, power washed, done the painting, just anything that was needed, and it looks amazing now.
This is Chris Brickey, business manager of Labor's Local 120. While all our members are skilled, highly trained men and women, we are also your friends, neighbors, Little League coaches, and volunteers here in Indy.
Here at the local, I like volunteering in the community. Just every little bit helps. I really got a real joy in doing that.
We build Indy for good jobs and stronger communities. We are LIUNA Local 120.
Why do so many basement companies want half the money up front? Could it be because it's easier to get than earning all your trust? At the Michaelis Corporation, they don't ask for a deposit until the job is done and you're completely satisfied. They even start with a free inspection to ensure you know exactly what your home needs without the guesswork. With over 35 years experience, they've proven that trust is built on results, not deposits. Michaelis, building trust beneath your feet. Visit michaeliscorp.com.
Do you need air conditioning service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust, like Family Heating and Air Conditioning? Find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors. For 1951 cabinetry, visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or DrexelIN.com.
50 years ago, Brown versus Board of Education outlawed segregated schools, promising the American dream to everyone. The dream of Oliver Brown was quality education for all children. But in many schools, children are being left behind. The responsibility of educating Indiana students rests on us all, from educators and administrators to parents and community leaders. Brown's dream of a quality education is the birthright of every Hoosier and a civil right guaranteed to us by the state of Indiana. If you feel your civil rights or those of your child have been neglected, or that your child has been purposely denied access to the education resources, you have options. Call the Indiana Civil Rights Commission at 1-866-FAIR-FOR-YOU. That's 1-866-332-4748. Or visit our website at in.gov/ICRC. This message is brought to you by the State of Indiana Civil Rights Commission.
When was the last time you practiced your home fire escape plan? Be sure everyone in your family knows what to do if there's a fire. Get out, stay out. Ensure fire safe response.
Your one blood donation can help save the lives of up to 3 people. Give blood through the American Red Cross to help hospital patients. Visit redcrossblood.org today.
On the level, on the go. 93 WIBC Indianapolis.
Coming up.